The Orioles played long ball again last night, and again Manny Machado and Adam Jones, both back-to-back. Then, game-winning RBIs, Adam Jones would get it. The bullpen, Brock came on, a hold. O'Day came on, a hold. Britton came on, and a save. Now, Tyler Wilson gets his chance. He got pushed back a day. He's hoping to continue the Orioles' roll. Game 2 against the Twins next. It's the Orioles on MASN, and it's a day game, and we are here in Minnesota at Target Field. What was supposed to be the 3-game set hopefully is going to be a 2-game set. Cloudy skies here today. It looks as though we can get this one in. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Thorne, and welcome. For the Orioles, the roll continues. They continue tied with the Red Sox for first place in the division. The pitching has come around. The bats have always been there. And another good sign, not only the win yesterday against the Twins, but what happened in it for two of the players who have been down offensively a bit, Jones and Davis. Look at the combined numbers that they put up last night. 5 for 10, 3 singles, a double, a home run, and 3 RBIs. Jones and Davis doing it with the bat last night. For Adam Jones, the long ball came back, and I do mean the long ball, as he and Manny Machado had back-to-back home runs, 443 feet, second deck up in center field, 9th inning, game-winning RBI. He had not had a hit with a runner in scoring position in the 9th this year. For Chris Davis, it would be a single in the 5th, another single in the 8th inning. He put up a double in the 9th, and the Orioles, two of the quieter bats, Jim Palmer, came alive last night to join everybody else.
Well, you know, you're not going to win if Chris Davis, who has led the American League in home runs 2 out of the last 3 years, doesn't produce. That's why they gave him a 7-year deal, over $160 million. But he's going to strike out. He's going to get his hits. What I liked was the fact he went to the opposite field. And then for Adam Jones, and I've said this many times, when he's never going to be a guy that goes up. You know, I know Dan Duquette, the Orioles president of baseball operations, says, well, you got to get the on-base percentage up. Well, everybody wants the on-base percentage up, but Adam's an aggressive hitter. But when he chases too much, and the problem with hitting 200, that average has gone up, Gary, is that you don't want to be hitting 200, but the only way you get better pitches is if you actually maybe concise the strike zone. So he did a good job of it. He got the clutch hit. He hit the hanging curveball all the way into the upper deck here. And again, you know, he's healthy. I think that's the important thing. And when they do well, you already got the hottest hitter on the planet hitting in front of him. You're going to have a pretty special offense.
And a pretty special player both on and off the field. Adam Jones, the work he has done a lot quietly, especially in Baltimore, with boys and girls clubs. A national effort now underway. We'll talk with him. UA. Light mist falling here in Minneapolis at the moment. Game's going to start on time. Adam Jones, involved with the boys clubs and girls clubs of Baltimore, now joins Major League Baseball for a national effort. This is the young Adam Jones, growing up in San Diego, an alumnus of the Encanto boys club, boys and girls club, a very big factor in his life. And for Adam Jones, the youngster to the man, now returning what he got from those clubs to nationally, the boys and girls clubs, and especially, though, in Baltimore. For Adam, the PSAs that are being run starting today look like this.
All you need is a safe place with people that care. It's what helped me get to where I am today. Because when you have someone that believes in you, that's when you have the chance to go places you never thought you could.
Major League Baseball is proud to support Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Great futures start here.
And you see he has donated a lot of money along with the Orioles. The awards he has won in recognition of the work he has done with the boys clubs and girls clubs. We had a chance to sit down with Adam, talk about this latest effort and his involvement.
Well, basically it's just a PSA of myself going into interacting with a bunch of the kids at a local boys and girls club. It's me being me. I think that's the best way to put it. I'm able to go. We're playing charades. These kids, what they was trying to tell me to get to do, it's hilarious. I mean, they're really trying to get me to, one tried to get me to do the worm on the ground. I'm like, I'm not doing the worm. I'm not going to get down on this ground and do the worm right now. But then I end up doing it. But it was just, you know, me being myself and able to go and be genuine with these kids and let them know that, you know, I'm here, the Orioles are here to support you, and that, you know, you have a backing. You know, you don't have to face everything by yourself, and that, you know, I'm just trying to strengthen the communities of Baltimore.
You have a real personal interest in this. Yeah. Tell us about it from your own background.
Well, growing up in the Boys and Girls Club of Encanto with my brothers and cousins, you know, I just think that was a place that was a safe haven, not just for myself, but for countless other kids, and still is. And you know, it was just a place that we found to be safe, to be around other neighborhood kids, and to, you know, get in trouble and not tell our parents. I think that was one of the best places about it, is you can get in trouble and break somebody else's stuff and keep it away from your parents' house. That makes, I think that's what it's about. You know, it's about those kind of things. You know, having an escape, and I think that's what the Boys and Girls Club offers. And you know, over the last few years, what I've done in Maryland is I just try and improve the educational side of it. Everybody wants to say, you know, get them into sports, get them into sports. My whole big thing with all that is, if the kid doesn't have grades, he can't play sports. So if he's going to play sports, he'll know it. And if his grades are there, yeah, that's the side I want to be on, the side of teaching the kids and the adults also. The computers are there for them too. If they want to catch up, they want to do job interviews and do different things like that. But just, you know, giving them an opportunity. You know, and like I said, if one kid goes on to the next level, I think my impact has been made and felt.
Would you be in Major League Baseball if it were not for the Boys and Girls Club?
Good question. I think it's a direct correlation. You know, first off, being able to be around different people and understanding just, you know, life situations. You go through life situations and being around, you know, all different walks of life. I think it benefited me from going there. I don't think it's the ultimate reason why, but I think that the relationships and the mentality I built growing up in there, I think that definitely has something to do with who I am today.
Oh, huge. You know, I talked to him. When I went to Arizona, I actually, that's what my summers were. Boys and Girls Club, go down, play basketball, be around my friends and all that. So, you know, he's always talked about it. It kept him off the streets and made him a different person. And, you know, the greatest thing is that when you're a role model, you can actually help people better themselves. And, boy, just a great statement about what Adam's meant to Baltimore and now really across the country.
Yep. Great for Adam. Good for him. Take a look at the Orioles starting lineup, brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. It'll be Rickard, Machado, and Jones, Davis, Trumbo, and Reimold, Scope, Flaherty, Joseph. 23 consecutive games he has reached base. Mark Trumbo.
And they'll face Phil Hughes. They saw him the first series of the year, and he's, you know, a lot of fastballs, as you can see. Those are fastballs and cutters. He's got a big kind of knuckle curveball, big overhand curveball, occasional changeup. You know, he's off to a tough start. You know, last year won 11 games, lost 9. His first year in Minnesota, the year before, he was 16-10. 209 innings, and he actually only walked 16 batters. So he's a fly ball pitcher, always has been, and this year, after throwing 29 home runs last year, kept the ball in the ballpark.
And we're underway. Pitch will be taken by Joey Rickard. It is going to be a ball. 4-game hit streak with a 1-for-4 in the ball game last night for Rickard, and uses delivery for a strike. Against the Orioles for Hughes, 25th career appearance and his 22nd start. He's got an 8-6 record against the Orioles lifetime, and has faced them this year in that first series in Baltimore. He took a loss, pitching 3 runs, 6 hits over 6 innings in a ball game that the Orioles put away 4-2. That one's going to miss down low, and the 78-mile-an-hour pitch, 1-2.
Yeah, his latest problems, his latest travails, has been the first inning. 3 runs in each of the last 2 starts.
Hughes, pretty much straightaway defense behind him. Right-hander's delivery to Rickard will be fouled away. We're at 56 degrees, a light breeze blowing, overcast skies, and a light mist falling. Rain is in the forecast, so there's a lot of praying going on here in this ballpark that this game will somehow get in before the bigger rain show up later on this afternoon. Delivery on the way. Rickard puts it up in the air, left field. Rosario. A lot of hang time on that one. Rickard's retired.
Yeah, take a look at their defense. You just saw Rosario and lefty had 16 assists last year. Santana, Sano at infielder playing right field. Plouffe, Munoz, Dozier, Park plays first. He DH'd last night. Maurer, who made a great play, he'll be doing the DHing, and then Centeno behind the plate.
Well, there's nobody hotter in baseball than Manny Machado in every aspect. Bat, glove, home runs, RBIs, everything. 4-game hit streak. He's so hot, Buck Showalter doesn't even want it mentioned. Buck's very superstitious about that part. Somebody's playing really well, hitting, pitching, whatever. The last thing Buck wants to do is answer questions about how well the player is going. Well, doesn't got much to say except watch.
Yeah, he really kind of, after the Orioles had tied at 1-1, he got him ahead. Took a change up off of Barrios. But he's hitting every pitch. He's hitting to every corner of the ballpark. You know, I was down on the field yesterday. Of course, they have a lot of great hitters. We were in the breakfast room today. You got Carew on the wall with 8 batting titles. Oliva right above us with 3. He was on the field. Tony still lives here in the Twin Cities. But he hit it all over. I mean, from the left field foul line to the right.
That one in the air to right field. It's in the yard. Sano going back and will make the catch. A couple of fly ball outs as Manny Machado is retired. 2 down here in the first inning.
Yeah, we've seen Phil Hughes have success when he's able to get ahead and then pitch out of the middle of the plate. And yes, he will throw some fly balls, but when you're not in the middle of the plate, it's a better defense. You know, Arcia is gone. He's not playing left field tonight. I mean, he misplayed a couple of balls. They got a better outfield defense today.
Adam Jones coming up. The infield will shift, playing him to pull. Adam has hit only 176 with a lot of at-bats against Hughes, but he has 3 home runs. That one sliced down the line. Sano in fair territory, and 3 fly ball outs. Buck Showalter before the game said of Hughes, he is in the attack mode, throwing strikes, and he did right there. Of these four is most likely to freeze first. I'm going to go with the guy on the left in a short sleeve shirt. Here's the lineup for the Twins: Mauer, Nunez, and Dozier, Plouffe, Sano, and Park, Rosario's, Centeno, and Santana. Nunez, the hottest hitter in the lineup.
Yeah, take a look at Tyler Wilson. Yeah, he has supposed to pitch Monday. Here he is on Wednesday. They felt comfortable because he started the year. In fact, his first appearance was against the Twins after a rain delay, so they figure he can maintain his windup. So there are the numbers, and they're good ones. You know, almost a hit per inning. You know, strikeouts, one every 3 innings, and then he doesn't walk a whole lot of people. You can see he's more of a ground ball pitcher. Righties, lefties haven't really hit him. All the home runs against by right-handers. So he keeps you in ball games, and that's why he's starting every 5th day.
Joe Mauer for the second time in his career batting first. He did last night. It didn't help. He went 0 for 3. He's not had a hit in his last 12 at-bats. Nunez and then Dozier to follow. Twins are 8 and 24, 14 games out. He's going to get a base hit to left field. Just sliced one the other way. That will end the over for Mauer.
Yeah, take a look at the Oriole defense. Big ballpark here in Minneapolis. Rickard, Jones, and Reimold, and then Flaherty, Machado, Scope, and Davis. Caleb Joseph pretty much catching every other day. That's a perfect example. Last night we saw 93 to 98 from Gausman. That same pitch, hard to get to, 89-90, which is where Tyler Wilson maybe a little more hittable.
Tyler's had the first inning woes that a number of the Orioles starters have had. Now hitters are 8 for 26 in the first inning against him. He has given up 2 first inning runs in the 4th start that he's made. Nunez, 9-game hit streak, 1 for 3 last night against Minnesota. Second appearance this year, and in his career, an opening day at Camden Yards, he worked 3 innings, giving up 2 hits, had 1 strikeout through 38 pitches in that ball game as a reliever against Minnesota. Nunez waiting. Mauer on at first base. There's the bunt attempt, and he did go after it. Tom Woodring, the home plate umpire, with a strike call.
Yeah, bring him in and then maybe hit it by him. That single you got, it was a shot into right field, actually helped him.
Flaherty will move in at third base after that shown bunt by Nunez.
Yeah, but that single led to the first run for the Twins. Dozier would hit one into left center. He'd go to third and then score on a sacrifice fly.
Wilson. Nunez not showing bunt, goes the other way. That's down the line. Reimold over, will make the catch. Mauer will go back to first base. And for Tyler Wilson, there are some numbers.
Yep, and you know, obviously they're not as good on the road, even though the record. Now they score, you know, almost 6 runs a game in the games that he's pitched in. So again, these are lifetime numbers.
Tyler in his career, 8 starts. This is his 9th, and 16 appearances now. 3 wins, 3 losses. Dozier, 2 for 4 last night. 4-game hit streak for him. Will take the strike on the inside corner. For O'Brien at 230 with the 40 home runs so far. This Twins team has struggled. 6-game losing streak. They've been outscored 47 to 18 during that 6-game losing streak. Wilson's delivery in the air. Rickard moves over near the line. He's got it. Mauer again halfway will go back. And again, a couple of at-bats where the Twins cannot get that leadoff man moved around. 2 down.
Yeah, you got an idea, though. That's kind of one of those information pitches where you saw how quick Dozier's bat is on a ball in the inside middle. So kind of put that in the memory bank. Of course, Tyler Wilson's a pretty bright young man. All you do is talk to him or listen to any of his interviews. And that's why they feel like his game, kind of like when you play golf, how's your course management? They think his pitching management is going to be pretty good.
Takes charge of a game. Here is Trevor Plouffe, 2 for 3 in the game last night. Plouffe has put the big numbers up against the Orioles. This season he's gone 4 for 15, 2 home runs, and 4 RBIs against the Orioles. He does carry a hot bat into the lineup for this day game. Mauer being held at first by Davis after the leadoff single. Wilson's pitch, movement down and away, and gets the called strike. 1-1.
Yeah, he was talking about Trevor Plouffe. He took advantage of last night, first and third, 1 out, first inning. I mean, it ball to deep center field, so he got to run in, and then he got a hanging curveball. One of the few bad pitches that Kevin Gausman made, and hit it into the mezzanine here.
Came off the DL on May 3. Wilson's pitch to him, and that one will be fouled back into the seat. So Trevor will get ahead of him. A ball and 2 strikes. Orioles wrapping up and hoping for a series win. If they get this one, they'll have it. Scheduled to be the 3-game set. Showalter's Ball Club will come back here for that one-day makeup game, but if they win this, it'll be their series and their 7th series win. Pitch is going to be inside. Nice stop made by Caleb Joseph, moving the body, and a 2-ball 2-strike count.
Yeah, take a look. You got a really good defensive catcher. He just kind of backhands it. Assumed the ball was going to carry, and it did. I think otherwise he would have turned the glove and tried to keep it in front of him.
Caleb's 13th start behind the plate. Matt Wieters has 19. 2-2 delivery, inside out, foul ball. You'll hear the screams and cheers of a lot of youngsters who are on hand here at the ballpark for this day game as they come towards the end of the school year. A lot make treks to the ballpark to enjoy a game. It's a little field trip effort. It's field trip day here, and there were lots of them coming into the ballpark this morning off the buses.
Yeah, they seem to be down the right field line in the upper deck, left field, and then out in. If somebody hits a home run where they're sitting, boy, they've gone about 500 feet.
That one's in the air to center. Adam Jones into the misty sky will put it away. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on base. We go to the second. Davis to the plate. We come back. Bob Jones from Baltimore, 500 for being selected, 500 more for every Orioles home run hit today. Play Home Run Rich's scratch-offs went up to 50,000. Or enter non-winning tickets for a chance to be the contestant of the game. Visit mdlottery.com/baseball. Tyler Wilson, Caleb Joseph, joined by Dave Wallace, pitching coach, going over strategy for the ball game after that first inning. Orioles bat against Hughes and Chris Davis. Davis a 3 for 5 in the ball game last night. He's had good numbers against Hughes, 8 for 30 with a home run off the right-hander, and that is going to be a strike at the knees. Tom Woodring, the home plate umpire's history is that he is highly favorable towards hitters, forcing pitchers to be Pretty much in that strike zone if you're going to get a call early on here, though. The hitters have been looking back. Maybe the weather.
Yes, you're right. That might have something to do with it. Getaway day.
Yeah.
Rain in the forecast.
There you go.
You have started.
Strike zone gets bigger with each passing word. Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way, and Hughes takes it up and away. Hughes got by his trouble inning. His ERA in the first was 13.5 in the first inning. He retired the side in order. 2-ball, 2-strike delivery. Davis will take a breaking ball. And you can see how quickly Hughes works. He's one of these guys. Give me the ball. Let me throw it. I'll throw it in the strike zone. See if he can hit it.
Well, this is his 9th year. I mean, former #1 draft choice with the Yankees back in 2004. I mean, when you looked at their prospect list coming up, he was the guy.
Davis finds the hole. Yes. Dozier diving just out of his reach, and Chris continues. Put the bat on the ball. The Orioles get the leadoff man on here in the second inning. Orioles and Rays game that was rained out on April 9 has been rescheduled, part of a separate admission day-night doubleheader. It's Saturday, June 25. It's at 1:05. All tickets marked April 9 will be honored for the new 1:05 game. The originally scheduled game was a 4 o'clock ball game. It's now going to be at 7, part of the twin bill. For information, Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD. The Orioles schedule so far this year, you need an eraser. Here is Mark Trumbo, and the pitch taken outside. Mark, he's been tagging the ball, continues to get on base. We showed you 23 consecutive ball games. Mark Trumbo has reached in. He's still on top of that group in the majors. Gets the DH role with Reimold in right field. Lashes that one to left center field. That is way back, bullpen, and go! Goodbye home run. Over and bounces back onto the field as Trumbo joins the home run group here in Minneapolis. A 2-run shot, and the Orioles up 2-0.
Yeah, he's got the kind of power that it seems like he just flied out to the back wall on the bullpen. I mean, his fly balls, you know, probably when they started talking about home runs as the big flies, he's in that category. Tremendous strength. Great pitch to hit, laid off a nice little breaking ball early in the count, and then puts the Orioles up.
10 home runs now for Trumbo, fouled off by Reimold.
I mean, it's look at this. I mean, it's a great pitch to hit. Looks like a cutter that stays in the middle of the plate. Check out this extension. Big and strong.
So he and Manny are now tied for the team lead in homers with 10, and they are tied for second in the American League, behind Robinson Cano, who's got a dozen home runs on the year. Reimold, the 1-1 delivery to him. Nolan will foul it away. Nolan gets a go. He's got a 5-game hit streak. He is 3 for 8 with a home run against Hughes. He's a .310 hitter in this ballpark. In Detroit, you play. And he is in right. Ground ball to third base. Big hop. Poof. And the first out of the second inning. So our Masson blog line, PNC, brings it to you with the achiever in you. Brock Kabako, as Brock says, right leg fine after getting hit on the comebacker. Adam Jones, the Boys and Girls Club story. And Steve Oleski, the notes and stats of the O's win over the Twins. Take a look. That and a lot more. One down, Jonathan.
Brad Brock's leg looks like a little bit of Ravens in it.
Not pretty.
And maybe the Vikings.
But Joel called it Baltimore orange.
well, that's the way it's going to look in probably a week as the blood drains and all that.
He stayed in, got the job done after he took one right off the leg.
Well, he said his dad texted him. He said, "I hope it didn't hit you in the knee," and it was above the knee. Yeah. So, and a few times I was hitting the leg. Tony Caniglero did it, hit me right back. What happens? It swells a little bit, and the blood starts draining, and maybe it hurts 2-3 days down the road more than it does the next day.
Philip Hughes unhappy with himself on that one, way outside.
Well, it's funny. You get all these scouting reports, and You know, he's lost some velocity. When he won 16 games 2 years ago, he was 93, 94. He's down to 90, 91. His average fastball over all his starts is 90. So he knows how he wants to get scope out, but he can't. You know, you either got to stay out of the middle of the plate, go way up and in like that, and that's a ball. And so Tom Woodring does not call that pitch. And
now he's struggling with the strike zone here.
Yep. And, you know, probably the pitch of choice should be that curveball, but it's not a high percentage pitch for him.
3-2 delivery to Jonathan. He'll go up high and get him. First strikeout recorded by Hughes. A lot of ball games pitched. 84 wins, 74 losses in his career for Philip Hughes.
And he just goes up the ladder, and you know, sometimes you can see how hard Jonathan's swinging. And Scott Coolbaugh's done a terrific job with this Oriole team. As Buck Showalter said, boy, you know, when they need a little bit of sternness, he's able to do it. He gets him on the right page. And when Jonathan's scope gets long, he swings through 91 in the middle of the plate. So I'm sure there'll be a little conversation.
Ryan Flaherty 1 for 2, a home run off Hughes. They do put the shift on Flaherty, leaving only Plouffe on that left side. We'll see whether or not he in fact lives up to the numbers of pulling ground balls. Talked about how the Twins have lacked offense. Starting pitching also really struggling. They pitching over that 6-game losing streak. The starters have gone 0-5. And the earned run average for starters during the 6-game losing streak, 8.28. Way up there. 2 down, nobody on. Trumbo the home run, 2 in, and a swing and a miss. Tip held on to. Hughes gets a couple of strikeouts with the Orioles after a Davis single. Get the home run by Trumbo. 431 feet is where they measured it. Back of the bullpen wall and back onto the field, and a 2-0 lead. Health partner. For locations, visit whywait.com.
So that is early on, and with 1 out, and then with 2 outs, which is going from a stretch, maybe, I don't know. Numbers escalate a little bit.
What Tyler does in those situations here today. Sano, Park, and Rosario will be due up. Sano's in a funk. He's not had a hit in his last 11 at bats, including an 0 for 4 in the ball game last night. Tyler Wilson, 2 runs to work with, 2-0 lead, and he'll get the pitch into the power hitting right-hander. 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, and Sano celebrating a birthday today. That one's going to be a strike called. He's 23 years old. And base May 11th.
A lot of strikeouts, 18 home runs, and about 279 at bats when he got to the big leagues last year.
0-2 delivery by Wilson.
Wow.
Just missed outside with it.
Well, you just get an idea that Tyler Wilson I was talking about hitters having an idea. Pitchers the same way. Can you pitch to both sides of the plate? There's an attempt to pitch down and away and just missed. Now he didn't chase that pitch. Surprising.
1-2 count. And that one's going to miss outside. Sano, one of those who signed very young. He was 16 years old out of the land of shortstop, San Pedro de Macari in the Dominican Republic. And started his career in 2010 in the Twins organization. Wilson with a 2-2. Sano puts that one way up in the air on his birthday. Goodbye home run. Sano begins the celebration early and gets the Twins on the board. It is a 2-1 ball game.
Well, he earned it on his birthday because he took some real close pitches, and as Gausman, throwing much harder, can throw it by him. A little tougher for Tyler Wilson. Boy, did he get all over this. Look where the target is. Look where the ball is. Misses by about 18 inches in the strike zone, and this ball's crushed. Great swing. Stayed inside it. Didn't hook it foul.
Tyler has given up 3 home runs in the 25 innings that he has worked this season. All right-handers. Ball will get away. So Sano's got his 4th home run of the season, and that will be RBI number 13 for the right fielder, whose name is hard to find, as we've discovered. Anywhere you look on stat sheets or anything else, his name is Miguel Sano, S-A-N-O. However, he is listed as Jean, J-E-A-N.
Yeah, I just thought they forgot him on the stat sheets.
That's the ground ball foul outside of third base because of his, and I'm looking for the full complete name here. It's Miguel Angel Jean Sano. Why Jean, the middle name, is used, I'm not sure.
Have you ever stood next to him?
I'm not going to ask him standing
no,
next to him.
No, that's what I mean.
That much. He can use whatever name he wants.
He must have told somebody, I want my name.
Jean. And apparently that's even been, I don't know, anglicized, because in the press guide they list him as Miguel Angel Sano. There you go. 1-2 strike count. Have another cup of coffee and get on with it. The pitch is going to be inside. Park had an 0 for 4 in the ball game last night. Another Twin who's got some power. Well, he's not had a hit in his last 9.
As this game progresses, hopefully we'll show you where he hit it in center field.
Oh, got him to chase on that one for a strikeout.
Yeah, perfect curveball. He's got it. This is his breaking ball along with a changeup, and look where the glove is. Look where the ball is. Starts in this. It's a perfect 2-strike pitch, a 2-ball strike, because it goes from a strike to a ball. And Park chases it. Hard not to.
Eddie Rosario will stand in. He's not played. Did not play the game yesterday. 1 down, 1 run in, 2-1 ball game. Orioles on top, and Rosario will take it for a strike. At his first career 4-hit game, month of April. Back-to-back home runs involved in it. First time in his career. Rosario was voted the Kitty Award, the Jim Cott Award for Twins Best Defensive Player last year. Rosario out in left field. He's not fared well against the Orioles this year. A couple of hits and 12 at bats.
Well, he hit 13 home runs, drove in 60, stole some bases.
Up high.
Yeah, chases that one out of the zone. Stole 13 bases. And then he gets to a sophomore year. Is that the sophomore jinx, or is it just the fact that they've adjusted? And
now can he?
Yeah, I mean, he's a little bit under 200.
1-2 delivery by Tyler Tapper. Wilson shuffles it on over to Davis, and there are 2 away. The Orioles are going to be back tomorrow to begin a 7-game homestand at Camden Yards on Friday. The first Fireworks night presented by Kaiser Permanente after the ball game with the Tigers. Great fireworks display. So get information and tickets. 888-848-BIRD or Orioles.com. Friday night fireworks night. Orioles return home after this game to open up tomorrow. Ubaldo Jimenez, Mike Pelfrey are the scheduled starters. Jimenez, Tillman, Wright, and Gausman in that order, scheduled to go against Pelfrey, Verlander, Sanchez, and Fulmer. 4-game set against the Tigers. Centeno at the plate. He is doing the catching, and he'll get a base hit to left field.
Well, that'll work. That's a nice little approach. It's his 6th major league at bat. He now has 2 hits.
Potential tying run is on base.
Yeah, a lot of times they look at, what's the arc of the bat? I mean, he just stays inside it. I mean, he goes, well, this is the Snow home run. But again, if you look at Centeno, I mean, he goes from high to low. So again, there's not a lot of uppercut, but it's pretty conducive to hitting line drives and hitting to the opposite field.
26-year-old out of Puerto Rico, Arencibio. So the base runner on. That'll get Danny Santana, the 9-hitter, up. In at third base. Flaherty way in. Flaherty has done this in both games. When Santana comes to the plate, he challenges him to bunt. Santana has outstanding speed, and even with Flaherty way in, Danny Santana's squared around and tried to drop it down. He can drag one here with Davis holding the bag, perhaps, if he wants to do that. He doesn't, and fouls it back.
Yeah, anything down in the zone becomes a ball he can hit into right field. And when you're holding a runner on, even if it's a catcher, that's what you're looking to do. If they give you a pitch inside half, just hit it by the first baseman. I mean, you got this nice little lane for both lefties and righties.
Misting a little bit harder. Pitch will be taken up high. Some of the fans heading for the cover underneath as starts to rain. 2 ball, 1 strike count. Showalter warned us this morning, be prepared, he said, to be here a while. 2-1, 2 down. Home run, Sano in the inning. Runner off first base. Ground ball towards short. And Machado's got it. He'll go over to first, and that will do it. 1 run on 2 hits, no errors. 1 left on. The Sano home run. Orioles lead cut to 1. Through. It's not supposed to get any better for Tyler Wilson. Supposed to start game 1, rained out. Tyler said of that.
Everybody is rolling with it. Obviously, we're frustrated. We want to play, but it's outside of our control. And I talk to you guys about that all the time. We're focused on what we can control. And whenever the sun does decide to shine and we get a chance to play, we'll be ready to go. And we'll just deal with those makeup games when they come our way here in the next couple months.
Or in Tyler's case, if the sun doesn't come out in the training, we'll still go and I'll pitch.
Yeah. It's annoying, for hitters. When it gets heavy enough, you can already see Caleb Joseph going back to get some, claw or looks like a rosin bank. I used to always, I didn't like rosin on my hands because I think it made it, to me, it's supposed to give you some kind of tack, but I thought it made it slipperier. But I'd use it on my forearm. So if you have one of those half sleeves, you put it on your arm in the rain. Trying to keep your hand dry. That in the footing.
That'll be outside to Caleb, leading it off with Rickard and Machado due up.
And the other thing, I didn't realize, all you have to do is go to the umpire and say, I want some of the turfus, because that's where you're pushing off and landing.
That ball down the right field line. Sano going over in the rain. Makes the catch. One down, third inning. Our PNC minor league report. PNC for the achiever in you.
Oh, so there you go. Grandson of Yaz. Boy, that's some nice numbers. We've seen him. One year he was Mr. Triple. You can see he comes out of a great college, Vanderbilt, where Ryan Flaherty went to. David Price. And this year, looks like maybe hitting a few more home runs. Good defensive outfielder.
Joey Rickard up. Will take the pitch outside. Flied out. First time up.
Yeah, I think the one thing, if you're the umpire, is that you just can't let the rain get to a point where the field becomes unplayable.
The worry is that the forecast only gets worse. Once it starts, it's supposed to rain all night. So they're going to desperately, I think, try and get in the game through 5 innings. But right now, that's not looking very good because it's raining. Period. Need one of those and another head on your head. Oh, and your seat. Okay, good idea.
Well, if you have the poncho on, you don't.
It's also a little foggy here for the outfielders. Trying to find a ball is not going to be just the rain, but looking through a haze out there as well.
Well, Sano, Caleb Joseph hit it pretty hard. He went back and speared it through the rain and the fog and all that.
Grounds crew chief came out, talked to the crew chief between innings, so gave him a weather update. We found out that isn't worth very much anymore. And got him on the call strike in the inside corner. And he'll walk away quietly. But not happy.
Yeah, take a look at our Mercedes pitch track. And that's close enough, especially in a downpour.
Yeah.
Of course, Philly he's already given up a 2-run home run. Wilson a solo home run. He wants to get back on the bench and let his hitters get up there.
I'll bring up Manny Machado. Manny flied out to right field. 2 down. Uses delivery, could not hold up on the off-speed pitch, and that'll be a strike. Greg Gibson.
Emphatically.
Yeah. So Manny second in home runs, second in batting average, first in multi-hit games. And runs scored, Manny leads the Orioles in that department, followed by Chris Davis. Manny's got 26. Chris has got 23. Both are in the top 10 in runs scored in the American League.
Yeah, I thought Tyler Wilson made a great point about, all players try to do this, control the things you can control. And in this case, it's probably about focus.
Ball put up in the air to right center field. Santana lines it up, puts it away. Not easy plays out there. So 2 of the 3 innings Hughes has retired the Orioles in order. You by T-Mobile. We open our notebook to our East Winds page. Tulowitzki's getting hot for Toronto. 4-0 victory over San Francisco. Homer drove in 3 runs. The Red Sox won 5-7 now. They've outscored the A's 27-12 in the first 2 games. And for the Yankees, they had Teixeira, Ellsbury, and A-Rod all sidelined with the injuries. So they started Dustin Ackley, Aaron Hicks, and the rookie Ben Gamel. They won over the Royals by a score of 10-7. Teixeira's got neck spasms, Ellsbury a strained hip, A-Rod with the hamstring problem.
Well, so maybe Ben Gamel, I guess organically, as Brian Cashman said, they're going to have to they're going to have to go next door to Whole Foods and maybe bring up some of their young guys. Well, I guess your minor leagues is organically.
That's organic. Yeah. That and prune juice.
Okay.
Top of the order, Mauer, a base hit, his first time up, his first hit as a leadoff batter starting a ball game.
12-10 is too early to ponder that, but I'm more worried about the weather.
Works every time. Nunez to follow, and then Dozier. Joe Mauer went the other way first time up off Tyler Wilson. And let's take a look at our Maryland Live Casino inside the numbers.
We won 3 batting titles, and so don't do that if you can't hit in the daytime. Chris Manny's up there, way up there.
Tyler Wilson, and another one hit the other way. Rickard goes over and makes a nice catch on it, and Mauer went away in the 3rd.
And Wilson kind of gives him a little bit of applause on the mound. A little change up. I think, that's a pitch that's got to be very important for him because it makes 90 a little bit better than it is. And, he can move it around and all that, but what we've seen him do against the White Sox, against the Yankees, is use the changeup and get hitters out on their front foot, or at least in their minds know that he'll pull the string.
8 career starts. He's 2-3 with an ERA of 4.2 as a starter. Tyler, 26 years old. He's retired 88% of leadoff batters. Obviously limited numbers, but nice start. First 2 get on in this game. Mauer and Sano with a home run in the second inning. Ball will be fouled back. Nunez flied out to right field. His first time up.
Well, Gary, what I like about his windup, Mike Mussina's going to the Hall of Fame. He won 270 games, but watch him get over his front side. I mean, he really extends. And I think that it almost has a little bit of a Koji.
Down to third.
Koji jump. You know how Koji gets over the front foot and hops a little bit? Yep. Mike Mussina, that nickname was Moose. I mean, he went downhill about as well as you can. And I think that's just the athletic nature of Tyler Wilson.
Looking around baseball here this afternoon. Cubs got a doubleheader at Wrigley against the Padres. If they can win both of their games, they'll have their best 33 game start ever in Cub history. 0-2 delivery on the way. That one's going to miss inside. Here's a look at that delivery.
Now take a look from this angle. Do you get over your front side and throw downhill? And that's what I'm talking about. I mean, that little hop. If you're recoiling, you can't hop.
1-2 pitch on the way. Came back inside, almost had him looking, but the count goes to 2-2.
Yeah, I remember my last year, the Tigers started out 35-5. Would be 1984. Probably one of the better starts that any team has ever had.
They haven't lost consecutive games this year, the Cubs. Chance to win the doubleheader today. Pitch down low again, started to go after. They check at first base. Greg Gibson says no, did not go around.
Nice little curveball.
Held up. Not offered. So the count goes to 3-2. Rain letting up a little bit, just a mist, a little brighter. 3-2 pitch on the way in the air to right field. Reimold. He's got it. It's a fly ball day. 2 down. On Saturday, the first 7,500 fans 14 and under get the youth bat and ball set presented by Play Ball. Gear up for the great summer, and you and your family can enjoy the game against the Tigers. 7:05 on Saturday. Tickets going fast. Get yours. Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD. Orioles 2 runs, 2 hits. Twins a run on 3 hits. Trumbo, his 10th home run, 2 RBIs. Davis coming in, who had singled ahead of him. Home run by Sano to start the second for the Twins. Dozier flied out to right field, his first time up. Infield moves around, playing him to pull.
Yeah, 16 hits to left, 7 up the middle, and 3 to right. It gives you a pretty good idea of what he likes to do. You can see the target. Can he hit it? Yep, he did.
That one in and a foul ball back. These Twins have dropped almost a run a game at home from last year so far. 3.64 runs here at home this season, where they are 6-9.
And the other number that really is glowing last year, and that's over 162 games, 280 with runners in scoring position, 218 coming in.
That ball, he just got the end of the bat on. Rickard is right there to put it away. A 1-2-3 inning, Tyler Wilson. So the Orioles remain on top by 1. Hybrid, all-wheel drive, and unexpected performance. Visit ViaToyota.com. Gary Thorne, Jim Palmer with you here. The Orioles wrap up the short road trip. Take a look at our Major League Notebook on our page. Rarely. The Cubs 25-6 since 03. 12 teams lost 6 or fewer in their first 25, and of those, 7 went on to win a World Series. The Braves are 1-16 at home. They are the 3rd team with a 1 or no wins in the first 17 at home since the 83 Phillies. That's 1883 Phillies and the 13 Yankees. And the A's have allowed 38 runs in the last 3 games, their most over a 3-game span since allowing the 38 to the Rockies in 2000. Our folks at Elias with some rarely seen numbers.
Yeah, before the humidor.
They still using the humidor?
Well, you look at some of the box scores, and I did put the wall. I mean, they raised the wall. And some of the players were talking on the bus the other day. Actually, when you look at the highlights, it has saved some home runs up in Colorado.
Boy, when the ball flies out of there, though.
Well, the first Baseball Network game I did with Al Michaels and Tim McCarver, it kind of rained. And, Luis Gonzalez hit a fly ball to left field and went about 30 rows up in the first inning. And I said, ooh, the ball carries here. Well, we went to dinner and it was pouring for a while. They finished the game. It was 26-9. And it was in August when they were playing the preseason football games. Yeah. And it kind of is before iPads and whatever. You kind of get caught in the football scores. And that's what it was like.
Yep, it was. That's when they decided they had to do something about it because it was going to be ridiculous. They did not figure the mile high in. Pitch taken away. Did he go? Adam says, please check. He did. And Greg Gibson says, no, you didn't. Adam flied out to right field. He has become the best at asking the first base umpire, did I check swing or not? I know I didn't. So please confirm this. Right. Do it. Yeah. Okay. Did on that one.
Well, we're going to see Miguel Cabrera is coming in with the Tigers in 4 games, and he's the first guy I saw that do that. Of course, he's won, what, 4 of the last 5 batting titles, Triple Crown.
I guess when the hitter asks you, it's less likely the umpire is going to say you swung. Not really, but that's the hope, I guess. And a breaking ball used, trying to get him to chase on all of these pitches, and that one will be down and away.
And he's trying to do it out of the zone. And when you get a curveball, and we saw it over the weekend, and against the A's, and you get it in the strike zone to Adam, he's a pretty good breaking ball hitter.
3-game hit streak for Adam, 4 for his last 15, 4 RBIs over that span. 2-2 delivery on the way, and that's going to be a base hit into left field. Gave him 1 to hit.
Yeah, that's your hanging hook, and boy, he's all over it. Easily could have been another home run if he elevates it.
So the Orioles have the leadoff man on for the second time. Sarasota, Florida, spring home of the Orioles, also a destination for culinary adventure, fresh local seafood, and an eclectic array of world-class cuisine. Don't forget Sarasota Restaurant Week, June 1 through 14. Visit SavorSarasota.com. So now with Jones on and Davis up, the shift is on, double play depth, and Plouffe is going to try and take the bunt away from Chris Davis. Davis has already singled and scored. And not this time. Way back in right field. And look at that one go. Goodbye home run over the seats and up by the flagpoles. And Davis has got a 2-run homer. And the Orioles have a 4-1 lead.
Yeah, everybody loves the cut fastball until you get in the middle of the plate. Cutter doesn't have the kind of velocity that your fastball had. We told you about Hughes. He's dropped some velocity as it is, and then that cutter is about 88, and boy, did it get launched. They had a band out there before the game. If they were still out there, it might have got the drum set.
And he just, that is crush Davis. So the Orioles, Trumbo and Davis now each have 2 RBI homers. That one in the air by Trumbo, going back to the wall, and that ball is gone. Goodbye home run. Trumbo's second of the ball game. Back-to-back homers for the 2nd game in a row for the Orioles, and Phil Hughes has given up another long one and a 5-1 O's lead. And I mean, both of these were torn out of the ballpark.
Well, it's a long way. I mean, to get it up over the right field porch, you got to smoke it, and Davis did. He had an 88-mile-per-hour cutter, and so take a look. This is the first of the home runs. Tries to get it in on his fist. Nice swing. But again, you got to hit it out in front, and then here comes Nolan Reimold, so a chance to hit back-to-back home runs. Look at the target. He missed again by about maybe 16 inches, and when you're only throwing 91s, that's really league average. I mean, so you're kind of average, and good hitters, good strong home run guys, they take advantage of it.
So the Orioles had back-to-back home runs in the ballgame last night. They get them here. Home runs last night by Manny Machado and Adam Jones. Now they get Davis and Trumbo, putting them together in this ballpark, and that will be fouled off. The Orioles now have had back-to-back home runs. Let's see, Manny Jones, Alvarez, Scope, Davis, Trumbo, Scope, Reimold, Machado, and add another one here, Davis and Trumbo. Boy, what a day to be our Maryland Lottery contestant. Bob Jones, $500 for each home run hit to go along with the $500 for being selected.
Yeah, but Buck Showalter, is only he can do, was musing before the game, and he said, what happens if they keep doing this all year long? He said the great thing about his team, talking about the Orioles, is when they hit the home runs, they don't hot dog.
Nope.
They just put their heads down and run around the bases.
Strikeout there recorded, number 4 for Hughes, who gets a Bronx cheer applause in Minneapolis.
And then he looked at me and he said, when guys hit home runs, did you throw them? I said, no, it's my fault, not theirs.
Pat Dean up in the bullpen.
Yeah, he's looking for his major league debut.
Hughes surrendered 4 home runs in his first 6 starts, and he has given up 3 in this game, and this is what the Orioles are doing to opponents. Again, the other day, of course, all those runs, 6 home run ball game, the Orioles had all of the runs they scored came on homers. 11 runs on 6 home runs against the A's. And now in this ball game, they have put up the 5 runs, all coming on home runs, 3 of them. And the Orioles now have picked up 79 runs off home runs, 79 out of 134. And that's going to be a base hit to left. Jonathan Schoop. It's just his 2nd hit in 12 at bats, lifetime off Hughes. And Hughes has got his head down out there.
Yep. Well, and also Jonathan made an adjustment. You know, it's great to swing hard in batting practice and all that, but I mean, he just short stroked him. He actually took a little bit off the swing. Neil Allen's going to come out and have a talk with Philip Hughes. Yeah, he's got to be a little bit down.
The Orioles started the day tied with Seattle for the team home run lead. Obviously, the Orioles now with 48 ahead of Seattle's 45. Philadelphia leads the National League. They've got 42 home runs so far this season. Boy, it is something, though, to watch this ball club when they get into these tears on home runs, because they are long shots. Trumbo in the road. He started the day 4th in road RBIs in the American League, and he has added 3 more to that in this game on the 2 home runs that he's hit. Pitch will be taken low and in by Flaherty. Flaherty, a strikeout victim, his first time up.
Yeah, and if you don't make your pitches, you get behind Ryan Flaherty. He doesn't hit a lot of home runs, but he's certainly capable of putting a home run swing just by, trying to make a good swing.
Pitch is going to be fouled back. Get them while they're hot. 2 buckets of freshly made miniature donuts.
What do they actually call these? I should remember.
Little orbits. Little orbits is what it says on the bucket.
The aroma attracts him, the action fascinates him, and the great taste brings him back.
There you go.
Back-to-back years.
Right off the bucket.
Wow, everybody needs a hand warmer or 2 or whatever.
Everyone needs their own orbit in which to fly, and we have 2 of them.
You have definitely had your own.
Yes. Thank God for that. 2 ball, 1 strike count. Runner on at first base and 1 away. Ryan Flaherty scoped the lead, and that'll be fouled back into the screen.
I saw Neil Allen, their pitching coach in spring training, and I said, what's going on with Phil's 2 years? 2 years ago, I mean, he won 16 games. He was marvelous. Low ERA, first year over here. 16 wins, 16 home runs. I mean, just 16 walks in 209 innings. And he said, well, he stopped changing speed, doesn't pitch in a lot. He said, we'd like to pitch in and throw more changeups. Well, we haven't seen any changeups. We've seen a curveball, but he's always had that. And even with the Yankees, he'd have up and down years. And then, of course, pitching in Yankee Stadium, very tough place to pitch. Figure he comes here to Minnesota, big ballpark, but today that hasn't helped.
Game he pitched against the Orioles earlier. He gave up 3 runs in 6 innings. The 4-2 Orioles win. That'll go to first base, played by Park. There's one, relay back in time. They get the double play. But the Orioles long ball again comes into play after a single by Jones. Davis delivers his 9th, good for 2. Trumbo follows him, his 2nd of the day, his 11th of the year, and the Orioles have a 5-1 lead. Orioles have the 5-1 lead. We always believe in celebrating the success of the Orioles. We do so by buckets of the miniature donuts that you see here. Delightful, don't you think?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, the big question, will we have to be paying a extra or excess baggage fee when we fly back to Baltimore later?
You think any of these are going to be left when we
Oh,
start
that's
back?
true. That's
Or are you
good
talking about
point,
the baggage
good
on
point.
us?
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the weight. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a good chance we'll have 3-4 pounds put on.
Oh. Too bad they don't smell good.
Yeah, right. I do not know why all ballparks don't have those. They're little miniature machines. First ones I ever saw were in Toronto when the Dome opened. They just roll them through a little conveyor belt, fry them on up, put them in a bag, shake them up, away you go. Here's Trevor Plouffe. Let's see if the Twins have any comeback in them. The Orioles on top here, 5-1. Bottom half of the 4th inning. Flied out center field first time up. This one left center field. Jones, Rickard both looking at each other, and Adam Jones, who is the traffic cop, comes over and puts it away. Plouffe retired with a smile. Text Masson's word of the day, Shell, to 29292 for your chance to win a meet and greet with Adam Jones from Masson. That's Shell. 29292, brought to you by the Green Turtle. Watch every O's game with us. The Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. Hang local. Do spend some time there myself.
The Green Turtle?
Yes.
Yeah, you do take
A
advantage
cigar
of
shop right next door.
a little jazz club on what? Monday night?
No, we'll foul that one away. Since traveling around the country and not seeing some of it. Home run by Sano got him out of an 0 for 11. 4 home runs. Sano now with 4 lifetime against the Orioles. Tyler Wilson, a towering fly ball to center. Got way under that one. And Jones gets over and the second out recorded in center field. Now the All-Star voting is now available for you at Orioles.com/orange. 35 times per email address, max of 5 votes in a 24-hour period. So get on there and cast your ballot. You can vote early and vote often. Go to Orioles.com/vote-orange. For the Orioles, of course, a lot of candidates to be voted for in light of first half performances so far. That will be fouled off Park. A strikeout victim, his first time up. The Twins find themselves again down in a ball game. They have had very few leads in the course of any of their games this season. It has been that rough for this ball club. Their staff, the 10th most home runs surrendered. Another one put up in the air off Wilson's going to go into the seats and foul. Our PNC inside the numbers power.
Yeah, so they got Park out of Korea because that's what he does, hits home runs. And then how about Rickard with 3? And then we're down in Houston in a couple of weeks. So again, everybody looking for the home run ball. The Orioles certainly have it. I think they're surprised, at least for the Orioles. I mean, you knew that Park was going to hit home runs, and he's big and strong and has a reputation. But how about Joey Rickard?
Swing and a miss, and he got him. How about Tyler Wilson? He gets a strikeout, retires the side in order, and that's 7 in a row set down by the Orioles starter.
Now our Jiffy Lube pitching change brought to you by Jiffy Lube, where participating stores now do brake services. Confident, let Jiffy Lube inspect your brakes today. Pat Dean, Major League debuts. Starter through the minor leagues out of Boston College. They'll have a chance to quell the Orioles' attack, or at least attempt to do that.
Out of Naugatuck, Connecticut. He is 26 years old, about to be 27 in a week. He led all of AAA in innings pitched last year. He had 5 complete games, 3 shutouts, tied for 3rd in wins and 4th in starts. That's among all AAA. He was pitching at Rochester with a 12-11 record, but a 2.82 earned run average.
Yeah,
Major League debut comes on this pitch, and it is in there for a strike.
Yeah, it looks like a guy that throws a lot of strikes. Caleb Joseph will try to get on the board. Did line out his last time.
Shift on in the infield. Caleb goes the other way, curving away from Santana. Still makes the running catch. Joseph retired.
So hitting in bad luck. There's one of the reasons they wanted Byron Buxton, their young #1 prospects, to play center field, because he can run balls down like this. But Santana does a nice job. Ball slicing away, made it look routine with his speed.
Rickert, big numbers against left-handers. 10 for 33 with a home run this year. He is 0 for 2 in the ball game. The Orioles are after their 4th consecutive win and looking to go 5-0 against the Twins on the season. Last time the Orioles had a start against Minnesota where they went 5-0 was 1997. Left-hander's pitch is going to be away at 85 miles an hour.
Now you could see Centeno just say, hey, keep the shoulder in. That ball ran all over the place.
1-1 delivery by Dean, came back inside on that one and misses.
So I'm sure they have a little bit, talking about the Orioles, they have a little bit of a scouting report against Pat Dean.
2-1 pitch filed away. Dean, 3 seasons at Boston College with obviously big numbers, a lot of strikeouts as a starting pitcher in his collegiate days. Now gets a chance here with the Twins, and this is a year with the way the Twins are going where there may be a lot of chances. Swing and a miss and a ball down and in. Centeno will make the play for the strikeout on Rickert. 2 down.
Yeah, nice little breaking ball. Threw one for a ball, comes back with a little bit better. I mean, they're going to double up. And that slider just out of the strike zone, and he gets Joey Rickert to chase.
2 down here in the 5th. Bring out Manny Machado. Manny with an 0 for 2. He has flied out twice in this ball game. Puts that one up in the air. Second baseman Dozier. That's tough play. Good one. Quick inning. So Dean makes his Major League debut with a clean 5th inning. Orioles up. Let us show you a good time in Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at OCOcean.com. And by PNC Bank for the Achiever in you. Mighty Mississippi begins here. Rolling through Minneapolis, St. Paul, Twin Cities. And for Tyler Wilson, a chance for his second win of the season. He's got the 5-1 lead to work with. The Orioles have out hit the Twins 6-3. Rosario coming up, grounded out his first time up, bottom third of the order, and goes for that one into the shift where they're not. That'll be a base hit. Reimold chasing into the corner. Rosario on his way to second base. No play on him. It'll be a stand-up double to start the 5th inning.
Yeah, he comes out of the box thinking triple, as you should. One thing about Tyler Wilson, he has incorporated all his pitches, change-ups, curveballs. Every once in a while, it stays in the middle of the plate. All Rosario has to do is drop the head of the bat on it, and it's into the corner for extra bases. Now, of course, you know what their mission is: just try to get into the Oriole bullpen some way.
Good time to get back into this ball game. Their offensive struggles made that hard to do in games. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah, and even if you hit one on the right side, and you know the infield's going to play back, they'll concede a run. Just anything to get within 3 or 4. I mean, they're already 4, so you want to get it to 2 or 3.
Juan Centeno, who is doing the catching in the ball game. He was called up on the 6th of this month. Hit .245, AAA Rochester to start the year. Minor league free agent signing November of last year. Played for the Brewers 10 games last year. Centeno will foul that one off. And ahead of him is Wilson. So Tyler Wilson, he's been able to hold those leadoff hitters on. Single Mauer stranded at first. A home run Sano leading off the second inning got him going. He had retired 7 in a row prior to the double by Rosario. And we'll miss with that one. A 1-ball 2-strike count.
Yeah, Juan Centeno, I mean, as you mentioned, out of Puerto Rico, I mean, he's hit everywhere he's gone. He just hadn't hit any power numbers. 280 lifetime minor league. Looks like he calls a good game. We haven't seen him throw. Orioles don't do a lot of running. Certainly gives a nice target.
Centeno waiting on it. Chopper to second base. Jonathan Scope will move the runner. Rosario over. 1 away. Visit Orioles.com/auction to bid on the special Mother's Day jerseys and caps that were worn last Sunday by players and coaches. Each item authenticated, autographed. It's available now for auction. Proceeds benefiting the Orioles Charitable Foundation and Breast Cancer Research Awareness. Bidding closes Sunday at 10 p.m. It's Orioles.com/auction. Danny Santana grounded out his first time up. Game underway in Houston. Another day game today. Cleveland is playing there. Runner at third base. In is third baseman Flaherty, and it's foul back. Cleveland's a hot team. They've won 6 of 8. They're pitching very well. 3-1-7 in those 8 games, and they're trying to move 3 games over 500. Third time they've had a chance to do that this year. They haven't done it yet. At third base, Rosario. Santana lashes another one back.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, by what, being 16 and 14, there are only 4 games back of the White Sox in the loss column, and you know the White Sox are off to a 23-10 to make it maybe 11 because I think they lost last night. But you know, 23-11 start, or maybe it's 3 in the loss column.
0-2 the count. You know, the White Sox had an unusual ball game where they got rattled at the end, and after having blew a big lead in that game.
Texas
lost.
had a 7-run 8th inning.
Yep.
Matt Albers, who at one point had 30 consecutive scoreless innings, gave up a 3-run home run.
Inside, started to go. He did not go, says Mike Estabrook down at third base.
Yeah, trying to strike him out. Maybe avoid having a run scored. Nice block by Caleb Joseph. Got to trust your catcher. Want to bury it down and in. Take a look at right there. Get in front of it. Perfectly done. No backhanding it there.
2-ball, 2-strike count. Down and into right field. So Santana comes through with the RBI. Rosario scores, and it is a 5-2 Orioles lead. Big run to get here in the 5th inning.
Well, it really was, and now you have speed at first. You know, he tries to throw a fastball. I think he's trying to strike him out, and just, you know, his fastball cuts, so it looks like it's a cutter. A good swing, and again, it's right into the power of Santana. He just drops the head on it, and all of a sudden you got something going with Mauer coming up.
So runner at first base, still only one away. Mauer picked up a single, and he is flied out to left field. A little noise from the Twins fans, and the throw over to get Santana back to the bag. The Twins, who had gone 2 for 26 with runners in scoring position against the Orioles prior to today. Now 1 for 2 here. Pretty good lead, and on the belly back in. Mauer in that leadoff spot had an 0 for 12 before he picked up that hit in the first inning. He is the DH in the ball game today, with Park playing at first. Runner not going. Mauer will take it. Strike on the outside corner.
Yeah, 32 hits, 13 to left, 13 up the middle, and then 6 to the pull side. I mentioned last night the only time he's really ever hit any home runs was when they were at the Metrodome. You know, he's such a good hitter. You're winning batting titles. They're pitching you away. You slice it into left. They try to go in, and then the short porch at the Dome, and you get 28 home runs.
Mauer will take that one up high. Tyler Wilson at 89 on pitch number 65. Working here in the 5th inning. Got to get through it to give himself a chance to be a winning pitcher in the ball game. Show all the starters going deeper into games over the last week. Great news for the pen. Again back Santana. The squall of rain we had go through has stopped. Hopefully we'll stay that way for a while. Pitch on the way to him. Back at 81 miles an hour. Had been missing.
Yeah, you got to make quality pitches, especially when you're third time through the order. Big article in the Baltimore Sun, Tyler, saying, "Hey, this is what this is really our goal. Using all your pitches, but at the end of the day, they've seen you now. They've seen you twice. They've seen a bunch of pitches, so you got to stay out the middle of the plate."
2-1 to Mauer, foul tip.
There's your good changeup.
Mauer picking up a lot of walks, as would be expected. He is second in the American League, coming into the game with 23 free passes. So one of the reasons you put him up top, trying to get him with some more pitches to hit, maybe, rather than hitting further down the middle of the order. His on base percentage talked about, and obviously one of the reasons why the walks he's picking up.
Well, yeah, most of managers, I know Buck, said it. Sometimes you overrate where guys hit, but for this lineup that's struggling for runs, why not get your best hitter at the top of the lineup? At least your most consistent hitter.
Runner off first, 1 out, 2-2. Buck, who a couple of years ago did not align with the theory you want your best hitters at the top, as he said, I've come around to that. Said I think that's probably what you should do. You want to get your top hitters as many at bats as you can, and he says, I look at that now. I'm willing to say that's probably right. Runner goes. What a jump! Oh my gosh. He was halfway there. He actually stopped. He had such a big jump he couldn't believe it, and he stopped and then took off again and gets a stolen base.
Now you got to hold the runners. I mean, right there, nobody yells. He doesn't step off. He throws the pitch. Caleb Joseph, and then he goes off the edge of his glove, but not even close.
He gets himself in scoring position, 7 out of 11 stealing bases against Tyler Wilson. Base stealers are 3 for 3. And now Mauer turns it into an RBI chance. Good secondary lead. Orioles not holding. Mauer will take the pitch, and that one is going to miss. So Wilson working himself into a bit of a jam here with the help of Rosario's leadoff double, and now with 1 out, a single, and a walk.
Well, that's 3 out of the 5 innings they've gotten the leadoff batter on. You had Mauer single in the first. You had the home run by Sano in the second, able to get him out in the third and the fourth. So you're right, he's doing everything you don't want to be doing. Third time through the order with a 5-1 lead, now make it 5-2. And you have, the Twins got to be pretty happy because Munoz has been as hot as just about anybody in their lineup. Check out that 361 average and a very high on base percentage.
All right, let's see what Wilson can do with this in this jam. 2 on, 1 out, a run in, 5-2 ball game. And the pitch will be inside to Nunez. A couple of fly balls to right field.
There are only 3 ground ball outs all afternoon. So when you think about grounders, you think, especially with runners on, maybe if you make 1 pitch, you get multiple outs, ground ball, double play. Not a lot of balls on the ground so far.
Runners off first and second base. Nunez the chopper to short. Machado's got to go 1. There's a relay over to first, and they turn the double play. Big time, not easy on that, and the strong arms of Manny Machado and Jonathan Schoop combined to get this one done. Schoop coming off in a hurry to make that pivot. Run in, a couple of hits, 1 left off.
Highlights. Mark Trumbo comes into the game with 9 home runs. You can see a little cutter right there, and then there's home run number 10, 434 feet, 2-run shot, and then the next time, home run number 11. After Chris Davis hit homer, and that one only traveled 406 feet. Those are your Geico highlights. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote.
Chris Davis waiting. Adam Jones to the plate. Adam a base hit, and he is flied out. Adam has now hit successfully in 4 consecutive ball games. The left-hander. Pitch will be in there for a strike. Orioles 5-6-0, 2-5-0 for the Twins. And that's going to be another base hit. So Adam, who has put in the extra work after games in the cage and coming out early for other occasions, is now 2 for 3 in this ball game.
Now, you can't always direct where it's going, but if you get strikes to hit, you don't have to be perfectly teed up. Usually the average gets, he comes in as a lifetime 278 hitter. A typical year for him is somewhere, there's his hitting instructor Scott Coolbaugh, about 285, 288. And then, somewhere between 28 and 32 home runs.
Orioles leadoff man on again. Davis already 2 for 2, a single, a home run, his 9th, 2 RBIs. Hughes came out of there giving up 5 runs, 6 hits over 4, 3 home runs, and no shift. This may be the first at bat this year where there has not been a shift on Chris Davis. And he goes the other way with it. Rosario back at the wall and off the top of the wall or gone. It's off the top for the moment. Runner will come in. Davis has got himself a double at least and an RBI. Now the question is, did it go above the home run mark on that padded fence?
Well, it hit the railing. At least that, from what I saw. And of course, I think Buck Showalter's looking down to see. Gives you an idea how strong he is. Take a look.
And he'll come out, can ask if the umpires would listen, and they agree to do so.
Yeah, take a look here. And
Greg Gibson will come on with the umpire.
I would
Mike
imagine
Estabrook, who made the call.
I thought the ruling was it, and I'm not sure if it did. Look like it might have gotten the top of the cushion, but I guess you take a look. If it hits the railing, which I think it hits right there, hits the railing. That's a home run. Is the railing in play? I don't think it is. The ball hit the top of the fence and then hit the railing. So. Top of the fence. Yeah, it didn't look like it kind of caring about the
railings on the upward sloping walls are in play.
Oh, well, then it's not a home run.
I'm reading from the.
So you have to hit it over that railing. Yeah. So that railing's in the field of play.
I guess. I mean,
yeah,
that's what it says. Railings on the upward sloping walls in left and right. Those are the corners. Are in fair territory ball and play.
Yeah, so that ball obviously didn't get over that railing. It just hit the top of the fence and either came straight back or actually brushed off the railing.
I don't know. I'm looking at the Minnesota Twins target field ground rules.
I mean,
it says all railings are in play.
But what are the odds of a ball that travels 380 feet to hit the cushion and not hit the railing and then come back? So I guess but it definitely didn't go over the metal railing here.
No, I don't know. I mean, that's what the ground rules say. Buck had to go out and ask the crew chief if he would be willing to take a look at it. There's no challenge on the home run question, but umpires generally will go ahead and do it anyway. See what he says. Double. Yep. So I think that is the ground rule, that the fence is in play.
So now we're seeing why they didn't put the shift on.
Yes. He was going to hit it the other way. And they knew it.
Exactly.
What a day. That's a double and an RBI. So that's a 3 RBI day for Chris Davis, a 3 RBI day for Trumbo. Buck is still out there talking about it with Greg Gibson, but it's not going to change. So Adam Jones came around to score after getting that leadoff single. Davis with the 3 RBIs is on at second base with the 2-bagger, and here's Trumbo.
Yeah,
Middle here, Davis, Jones, Davis, and Trumbo putting on an offensive show here in this game so far.
Well, he's never hit 3 home runs in his career.
And the pitch outside for a ball.
He's done 2 home runs now 8 times. Well, at least coming into this year, he's
runner on at second base, and a swing and a miss as the left-hander Dean locates a pitch perfectly on that delivery.
Yeah, we haven't seen a changeup yet. You would think, lefties, a starter. He's got a slider. We've seen that. It's a pretty good one.
Trumbo's already got 5 home runs off left-handers. He's 7 for 33, and 5 of the 7 hits are home runs. Ball put up in the air, first base side. Park will not have a play. All right, let's take a look at our Jeep Inside the numbers on these streaks.
Yeah, so there's Mark Trumbo leading MLB players. Cubs got Zobrist exactly for that. Chu, when he's healthy, we know he can play, and then the Boston papers are now talking about Ryan Braun would be the perfect guy to make a trade for.
That one's going to be hit on a line, but right to Rosario, puts it away. Davis will stay at second base, and there is the first out. Orioles pounding away here with the extra base hits in this ball game. 3 home runs, double RBI for Davis, who's out there at second base. Nolan Reimold coming up. Reimold has struck out and flied out. Orioles come home to open up the 4-game set against the Detroit Tigers after this game. You'll get out and see the O's here this weekend. Tomorrow night, Evaldo Jimenez, Mike Pelfrey, 6:30 O's Extra, 7 o'clock Masson for the ball game. Then Friday, Saturday nights, and Sunday afternoon against the Tigers.
And the Tigers are just playing tonight against the Nats just down the road.
That will be a strike.
Hey, this
pretty easy trip for them. That's almost going to one city.
Well, in the old days when we used to play the Senators, or even when you play the Nats, sometimes you drive over,
stay home,
stay at home. Because there's no Travington in the Washington area.
No,
never.
Not on the Beltway. That one down the line, and that'll be out of play. So the good news is going to get an official game in no matter what happens weather-wise the rest of the way. We still don't want a rain delay and an hour plus wait, but at least get the game in. 1 ball, 2 strike count on Reimold. And a check swing. He did not go around. Busy day for Greg Gibson at first on the checks. And Reimold takes the count to 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You get an idea. Pat Dean's thrown in his major league debut 20 pitches, 15 strikes. There's a changeup. Took a little bit off.
Reimold, big numbers against lefties so far. 308, 1 home run. Reimold has had good numbers against righties as well whenever he's had a chance to get in. But Showalter's saying got to get these guys in ball games. Trying to keep people active. Kim, another, he wants to get in. 3-2. Runner off second, Davis. Check swing, foul ball. Trying to hold up on it, couldn't do it.
This kid talking about Pat Dean, it's like he's got good command. Reminds me of somebody that actually pitched for the Twins the last 4 or 5 years, Brian Dunson. Another left-hander, spot starter.
So Reimold is on. The Orioles have 2 on now with 1 away. Follow the Orioles baseball live with MLB.com at Bat app. Stay up to the moment. Game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, and more. Download it. MLB.com at Bat. #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. Dean in his major league debut started it out with a 1-2-3 inning. Adam Jones the first hit off him. Davis the first RBI, and now Reimold the first walk. And the pitch way inside on Jonathan Schoop. Schoop a base hit, and has struck out. Jonathan with the .286 against left-handers and 1 home run. Two on and 1 out, and goes away this time.
Yeah, you come to this level out of AAA, you find they don't chase pitches out of the zone. You hit the ball harder. Showalter was talking about that. To a lot of infielders that come up, they said, boy, the ball gets to you a lot quicker up here. Game's just faster.
That one close to the outside part of the plate. So he gave chase, and a 2-ball 1 strike count.
Yeah, that is not a strike, and Jonathan gets himself in trouble. Chasing.
This has not been a friendly confine for Jonathan Schoop, this ballpark. He's had 4 hits here in some 25 at bats. Foul back again into the screen. So the count evened up, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Orioles, Red Sox tied for first. Toronto's 3 out, Tampa Bay 4, and the Yankees 6. Everybody but Tampa Bay has a win streak going over 2 or 3 games. Rays have lost 2 in a row. 2-2 delivery, and again reached. Rays are playing against Seattle, a hot team. Right now they've won 15 of their last 20 ball games for the Mariners. Their pitchers, starters, putting up 2.75 ERA in a long span. Seattle putting some runs on the board. Chris Archer is going to pitch against John Walker in that ball game that'll be played a day game in Seattle. That is a strike, and Jonathan Schoop is retired.
Yeah, kept swinging at balls outside the strike zone. And talking about Tom Woodring behind the plate. We'll take a look, and probably right around the corner, got the edge. Perfect pitch. You know, part of the ball's off the plate, but all you have to do, at least with most umpires, is get some part of it on there, the edge of it. That's why the plate can get wider.
So the Orioles look to add to their lead with Ryan Flaherty, and 2 on. Davis at second, Reimold at first. Flaherty has struck out, hit into a double play, and he will take the pitch down low for a ball. So a little lefty on lefty matchup here. Flaherty's only had 4 at bats against left-handers this season, 2 for 4. 1-0 count. Trumbo 3 RBIs, 2 home runs. Davis 2 RBIs, his 9th home run, and another on a double this inning for Chris.
Yeah, Michael Tonkin, we saw him get loose last night, did not get in the game. Yeah, you watch Ryan Flaherty in batting practice, and it's only batting practice, but he can stay inside the ball and shoot at the left for the best of them. And that's when he hits lefties well.
They give him the shortstop hole. Grounded foul. And this copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Orioles may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. Paul Molitor, another long day at the ballpark. Club facing what could be its 25th loss, and 7 in a row if they don't come back. That'll miss inside. 3 ball, 1 strike count. Flaherty, Joseph waiting on deck. There are your base runners: Davis, Reimold. Dean's pitch, and that's going to be up and in. So the Orioles have loaded them up here in the 6th inning as Dean surrenders a couple of walks in the 6th. Now the Orioles with a chance for those big 2-out RBIs. Caleb Joseph.
He just wants his first RBI of the year. Last year, 49 of them. 4th on the club. The bottom part of the lineup, when you look at Flaherty, he hasn't driven in a run. Same with Joseph. But they help the club obviously in other ways. Caleb Collin pitches. Neil Allen once again out there to. Caleb's had 2 good at bats. Just hit them right at people.
Clock ticking. Plate umpire Tom Woodring going out to get Allen off. 0 for 2 for the Orioles, 1 for 3. Not many of these chances, despite the Orioles having put up 6 runs in the ball game. So Caleb stands in. Orioles with the bases loaded. And the rookie in his debut, Pat Dean, delivers, and it is fouled back by Joseph. 0-1 count with 2 down. Here in the 6th inning, a base hit here. Pretty good spread. 0-1 delivery to him. Inside a bit, fouled off. Applauding for the strikeout. Runners with their leads. The 0-2 delivery. Joseph, another one fought back. So Caleb holds the count at 2 strikes. Here are the kids. Caleb 0 for 1 with the sacks loaded this year, and now is 0 for 2. Swing and a miss on that one. Dean gets a big strikeout. The Orioles get a run. They do it on 2 hits, but they leave the sacks full. O's on top, 6-2. And the Orioles on top, looking to take another series. Tyler Wilson, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, has given up just the 2 runs on 5 hits. The Orioles chased Minnesota starter Philip Hughes, 5 runs, 6 hits over 4, 3 home runs off Hughes. Trumbo in the 2nd inning, 2-run homer. Then Davis and Trumbo back-to-back home runs in the 4th. Is the middle of the lineup. Davis 3 RBIs, so has Trumbo. Orioles, after their 7th series win, they have lost 3 and tied 1. Toronto's going to try and get their first series win. I find that kind of hard to first sweep of the series of the season, as they are going to be playing the Giants on the West Coast. They've won 6 out of their last 8 now. They're pitching well. 1.97 ERA over the last 8 games for Toronto. And Tulowitzki maybe heating up.
Yep. Just pointingly slumping until lately.
Pitch is on the inside corner for a strike as Wilson rolls on. Orioles little action down there in the bullpen.
Well, he made a great pitch, and the Orioles turned that double play to get him out of the inning. I mean, that was magnificent. Manny going to his right, and then the great scope throw. Made a nice pitch to Nunez, who's been as hot as anybody. But pitching at this level, you just got to be able to sustain that level of making your pitches.
Dozier goes after one that was down and in, pops it up to second base. Jonathan Schoop drifts over, puts it away, 0 for 3. Well, in our Major League Notebook, looking ahead, what ought to be an interesting day on July 3. The Major League Baseball and the Players Association are going to have a regular season game. The Marlins and the Atlanta Braves are going to play at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. Facility seats about 12,000. It's a regulation game. And according to John Thorne, the official historian for Major League Baseball, this is part of the continuing connection between Major League Baseball and the armed services. Interesting that a year before Branch Rickey signed Jackie Robinson, Hal Hairston, who was a black pitcher for the Homestead Grays of the Negro National League team, pitched in a game in World War II where Army played Navy. It was called the Service World Series. It was played in Hawaii. And there were a number of African-American players involved in that game. So they renew the connection this year. That's pretty good. Jackie Robinson, a year later, of course, officially broke the color barrier of Major League Baseball. Bluefish flied out twice. Our great crew put together the roster for the Army-Navy game during World War II, and Jim and I were looking at it. You talk about some names. Navy had Johnny Mize, Phil Rizzuto, Dom DiMaggio, Preacher Rowe, Schoolboy Rowe was with the Tigers, Virgil Trucks, another pitcher with the Tigers. The manager was Bill Dickey. That'll be played in left by Rickard, and Bluefish retired. The Army had the likes of Bill Leonard, who was a catcher with Oakland, Joe Gordon, the Yankees infielder, Ferris Fain, who played with the Seals at the time, would have a major league career. Joe DiMaggio of the Yankees played for the Army team. Mark Edwards, who was an outfielder with the Indians. Those are some pretty good rosters for the Army-Navy game in World War II. They were all in the service. John Thorne is the official historian for Major League Baseball. If you have not caught his read his blog, it's a real good 1 hour game.
Well, you also have 2 other Hall of Famers that I'm sure there's more, but Bob Feller, of course,
yep,
lost about 4 years, and then you had Ted Williams, who lost about 5.
Put up in the air by Sano. This is going to be Reimold. He will put it away, and here in the 6th inning, a 1-2-3 for Tyler Wilson. Go Cadets! Lots of smiles on the Orioles side as they have a chance to win this second game against the Twins, take the series, and have a 4-game win streak.
Yeah, 5 of the 6 runs via the home run ball, and now what they've hit back-to-back home runs in the last 3 games, 6 of them on Sunday.
Yep. Back-to-back ball game last night, and now back-to-back here in this one.
And they're loud home runs. I mean,
loud and long.
Yes. I mean, I could still hear the sound of the home run that Pedro Alvarez hit out onto Utah Street. Just the crack of the bat. And just if you're a former pitcher, like I said, eating breakfast, looking at Kirby Puckett and Carew. They didn't even have Harmon Killebrew in there with 564 home runs. I mean, he's not even in the breakfast room. No, but gonna leave it with 3 batting titles right above your table. The only thing worse was I don't know if the Mickey Mantle restaurant on,
I think it's
57th Street, right in Central Park South.
Yeah.
They have all the 500 home run guys. So you're sitting across the table, and that's all you look at. It's a whole montage of
a pitcher's nightmare.
Exactly.
Rickard at the top of the order, 0 for 3 in the ball game, 1 for 7 in the 2-game set. Nunez, double clutch, and won't get it. He's been able to make it clean. He might have had him, but he had a double clutch, and that cost him.
I think that's number 9, and even play another step. I mean, there are no routine ground ball to the infield with Joey Rickard. Yeah, right there. That's about a second and a half.
Got to give him a hit.
Yeah, Joey says thank you very much. First one of the afternoon.
Rickard on with a single and a 5-game hit streak.
And one of the big hits last night, 2-out double in the 9th, and the Orioles would score the 2 runs on the Jones single that would win it.
Now Manny Machado. Manny's 0 for 3. He's trying to extend his hit streak, which right now is at 4. He's delivery, and that will be down low for a ball. The Orioles with the 3 home runs they've added in this game now, so you got 11 home runs in the last 3 games. Before that, they had 1 homer in 4 games. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Pat Dean, major league debut on the mound. Left-hander's pitch is going to be up and away. Not close. So Manny will get ahead on the count here, 2-1. Manny is sitting 355 off lefties, 368 off righties, and 433 in the month of May. Can I get a mercy? 2-1 pitch, and that ball up in the air to left field. Going back Rosario, shy of the warning track. 1 down, top of the 7th inning. Dean gets the out. Adam Jones coming up. Adam a 2 for 3. 2 singles, 2 runs scored. He too has hit successfully in the last 4 ball games. So that average starting to climb. He was below Mendoza for a couple of games, and now up over the 200, well over it. Rickard on at first base, held by Park. And a strike Anthony.
Yeah, I always thought Mario, the Mendoza line, I always thought was under 200, but he's actually his lifetime. Talking about Mario Mendoza, who played for the Mariners, his lifetime average is over 200. But I always thought he was, like an interstate number, like I-95 or something like that.
200, the number associated with him, even though it's not his lifetime average. Funny how things like that stick, isn't it? 1 ball, 1 strike, and Jones, little cutter that moves inside to him. Adam, 2 ball, 1 strike count. Orioles with a chance to go 8 games over 500.
Yeah, he was actually a 215 hitter. So Adam would take 250.
And that's going to be away.
See if he's above that now.
It's 223.
Yeah, he's up. So he's last night he started at 200, dropped below, and then of course got 2 hits, game winner.
Still at that point of the year where you can pick your average up pretty quickly. He's had 103 at bats now. That will be foul back. We talked about the fact we're now more than a sixth of the way through the season. Hitters will get the regulars. They're 500, some 600 at bats in the course of the year, and the regulars are now at or over 100 at bats this season. Seems kind of amazing already. That's going to be one down the line, a fair ball rolling into foul territory. Joey Rickert with that speed will head in to third, and going back to first base, and a good play by Rosario. He got it in a hurry, holding Adam to a hard single, and now a 3-for-4 day. First and third, one down. Our Lexus of Towson drive of the game.
Yeah, a little cutter that goes a long way. I guess that's their version of the Eutaw Street flag court, and that ball was crushed.
Drive of the game brought to you by Lexus of Towson, the area's #1 luxury dealer. Come see why at lexusoftowson.com. Here is Chris Davis.
And he had an idea of why Eddie Rosario had 16 assists. What has he got in arm?
Chris Davis looking for an even bigger day. 3 for 3. Get a triple, get a cycle. Double and an RBI his last time up. Home run came in the 4th inning, a single in the 2nd. He has scored twice and driven in 3. Davis with a hot bat. Infield is at double play depth against him. 1 out. This is the first time in franchise history the Orioles have had back-to-back home runs in 3 consecutive ball games. There have only been 15 teams in Major League history to do it 3 or more straight games. Last time was the Mets, April of this year. And the all-time record is 4 straight games in which a team has back-to-back home runs. 4. Set in 1964 by the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah, that was Tony Oliva's rookie year when he, I think, hit 321.
What a play made there. The throw by Park. One relay not in time. So it'll be a fielder's choice and a 4th RBI for Chris Davis as Rickert scores.
Boy, and he gets down the line. I mean, nothing routine. Yeah, it's funny. Adam Jones runs everything out. Chris Davis, I mean, right there, he takes off right there, and that keeps him from getting a double play.
I mean, they've asked hold up here while they take a look. The Twins do at the video on the play at first base.
Or maybe it was the slide at second.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's clearly safe. And Molitor's coming out, and he is heading towards second base. Or he's going to make a pitching change. He's going to make a pitching change. So there is no challenge here. The RBI will be picked up by Davis. That's a 4 RBI day for Chris, and that will be it for Pat Dean in his Major League debut.
Lead for the last 3 years, up and down. 27 games last year. Kind of a sinker slider pitcher. And you can see an opportunity. 16 innings, or almost a strikeout an inning. Maybe a little bit, a few more walks than you'd like. And again, righties, lefties, low numbers. Fly ball pitcher in a big ballpark. 6'7" out of Palmdale, California.
So the 26-year-old right-hander comes on against the Orioles. Does not face the O's this year. Worked against the White Sox on the 7th. Last outing was only for a third of an inning, got a strikeout, and that was it for his appearance there. Came up 5 times from AAA last year to pitch for the Twins. So the Orioles, Chris Davis on at first base with a 4 RBI game. He has had multi RBI games now 7 times. This is the first 4 RBI game. He has had a 5 run batted in game. Trumbo's doing the same kind of thing. He's had 2 home runs, 10 and 11, 3 RBIs, 2 for 3 in the ball game. After that first 3-homer day in his career, we'll take that for a strike.
Yeah, so so if you're a right-handed hitter and you're facing Michael Tonkin, you get the one that's going to run at you. That was the first pitch. I think Mark Trumbo thought it was inside, and then you got one that sweeps away from you.
The Orioles 7 runs, 10 hits. The Twins 2 runs on 5 hits. And the delivery to him will just miss.
Yeah,
everybody froze waiting for that call.
That was almost like I'm going to think I'm going to get even, because I think the first pitch was a ball. He called it a strike. This looked like a strike.
It was.
Yeah, it's pretty much outside middle.
1 ball, 2 strike delivery on the way, and did he go? No. Mike Trumbo, runner at first. Davis, pitch on the way to him, and another one outside as Tonkin continues to stay away on Trumbo. Trumbo's got a 4-game hit streak now. He's had 7 hits, last 16 at bats, 3 home runs, and 5 RBIs during that streak. And that one inside out to right. Sano put it away for the out. But the Orioles come away with a run. They do it on a couple of hits, leave 1 on. 7th inning stretch time with the O's up 7-2. The Orioles head home. We hope you'll join us tomorrow if you can't be at the yard for the beginning of 4 against the Tigers. Ubaldo Jimenez against Mike Pelfrey. Our coverage on MASN 6:30 O's Extra presented by Southwest. Our game coverage at 7. All the access you need right here on MASN.
Yeah, so there are the Tigers. They stopped a 7-game losing streak. You see last year Brad Ausmus And then Pelfrey, you're going to see Fulmer, who just got called up. Pelfrey hasn't won yet. Verlander's coming off of 3 hits in 7 innings, but did not get any run support. And then Sanchez, master of changing speeds, has had trouble staying healthy for the Tigers.
And Tyler Wilson looking to extend his performance with a 7-2 lead, bottom of the 7th inning. Park has struck out twice. Career high is 7 2/3 innings for Tyler Wilson. This season his high was 6. Came in the last game against the Yankees. He took the loss but gave up only 3 runs, 2 earned on 4 hits in those 6 innings worked. Park with power and takes the pitch for a strike on the inside corner. Rosario and then the catcher Centeno due up. Orioles have had to come back in the ball game to extend that lead again, but they've done it. Down the line in right field, Reimold will chase to the line.
Yeah, his speed allows it to make that play pretty routine. Nice to pitch with a 7-2 lead, and it's almost like Davey Wallace, the Orioles pitching coach, said, "Hey, use all your pitches early on. Maybe a little bit of a struggle, and all of a sudden out comes a curveball and the changeup." And of course, he always moves the fastball around.
11 fly ball outs. 1 down here in the 7th inning. Rosario has had a double and grounded out. RBI was picked up by Danny Santana in the 5th inning after the double by Rosario. Sano had a solo home run in the 2nd for the Minnesota 2 runs. The ball in the air, down the line, long run. Rickert over. Joey diving, and he makes the catch. Joey Rickert in foul territory with a nice play and a salute from Wilson and Manny Machado.
Well, Rickert rules right here. Rule 5 guy, and great speed, great focus, concentration, holds it on. Good day to hydroplane across the outfield grass here in Minnesota, wet from the rain. Boy, what a nice play that is. You're looking for outs, just got one.
And there are 2 down. Santana has picked up a base hit and he is grounded out. Joey Rickert doing it all. Talking with Buck after the game last night, our interview, he started to walk away, and then he came back. He said, "Wait a minute." He said, "We didn't talk about the double in the 9th inning by Joey Rickert." And I said, "Go right ahead," and he did, because that's what kicked off the 9th. And the Orioles were able to pick up the 2 RBIs later in it by Adam Jones to win.
Yeah, I mean, if he strikes out, what, it was about 9 or 10 pitches? He pops up, and they don't get a guy on. You got to go into extra innings. Twins have a chance to win in the 9th, but they had to come back with 2 against one of the best closers in baseball. It changed the whole dynamics of the game. And then the other thing was when we get a walk and then you get the wild pitch, he's heads up base running, he gets to third base, and all of a sudden you got a chance to win the ball game, and Adam Jones gets the big hit.
That one is going to bounce. Santana up. We are in the 7th. The Orioles 7-10-0. They've left 4. The Twins 2-5-0. They have left 3. Orioles middle of the orders with explosive Jones, Davis, and Trumbo. They've been on fire in this ball game. They picked up a combined 8 hits, 7 RBIs, and 6 runs scored. That's pretty good for 3 guys. And run support, Tyler Wilson at the top.
They like him. Likeable young man. And poor Kevin Gausman. Well, he's not poor because he got a big signing bonus, but poor when it comes to run support. But he's been pitching great.
And that one is going to go to Reimold in right, making the turn and staying with the base hit. So Santano's got a 2 for 3 game. He's on with 2 down in the 7th inning. Tyler Wilson will have to go on and work against Santana. Danny Santana, an RBI base hit in the 5th inning.
Yeah, down and end zone, so try to stay out of there. The way you do that, you know, use your curveball. I mean, it's the kind of game where you can take a little bit off it, try to drop it on the outside corner. Ryan Mattis up and getting loose. You know, change up plays against Santana. There's the hook.
Flaherty moves in as always when Santana's up.
Well, you're at the point, and you know how often his 3rd time through the order, and you would like to think that maybe he'll be able to get Santana out. Otherwise, how often do pitchers get to face somebody, a modern day starter, 4 times?
You don't. Jonathan Schoop, short hop over to Davis, and that will do it. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left. Tyler Wilson, not just a little help, a lot of help from his D. Joey Rickard. Rosario denied a continuation of the Three innings of no-hit baseball. Cy Young had his streak ended. It included 6 innings that he had pitched on this date in 1904, 2 innings the 25th, 6 innings on the 30th, after on May 5 he had thrown a perfect game. The only thing he never won. That's right. Cy Young Award.
That's right.
Tyler Wilson looking for an award here. He called a win.
Yes. 511.
Broken bat base hit center field.
Yeah, Reimold, you know, you make contact, you get your hits. So Cy Young, really kind of a short career, only faced 29,556 batters.
Yeah, what's that?
30,000 guys.
Imagine.
Say, how'd you do against Joe Medwick? Well, let's see. He was the 15,000 guy I faced.
He was 0 for 230. And the pitch will move over the strike zone to Jonathan Schoop. He is 1 for 3. So that will be it for Tyler Wilson with a 7 innings work. Chance to be a winner. He'll be coming out of the ball game. And pitch taken away. Schoop's base hit came in the 4th inning. The Orioles now have 11 hits in the ball game. They were 5 runs on 14 hits in the game last night. Reimold at first base. Schoop in the air, and that'll be out of play.
Yeah, good day to get your bullpen some work. O'Day had 4. Of course, it was a tie ball game, but Darren O'Day had 4 days off. He got him in last night's game. Brad Brock pitched very well. Escaped a 1-out runner on second situation with a tie ball game.
The Michael Givens chance to come in probably and work a couple of innings unless it develops into a save situation.
Well, you'd like to score another run or two, and then you can, get Gibbons an inning, maybe get Madison an inning, who's been struggling.
Pitch on the way, and a swing and a foul ball. Tonkin's delivery.
Yeah, he's deceptive.
Down and away.
Yeah, Gary, I mean, 6'7".
Dean worked 2 1/3, a run on 4 hits in his major league debut under the bullpen. Came back inside on Schoop, hits him in the batter's box for a foul ball. Orioles now in the games against Minnesota this season. This is the 5th. The Orioles have outscored Minnesota 23-11. They have out-homered them 8-4. The Orioles came in with a .300 batting average against the Twins, and the Twins hitting .209 against the Orioles.
I don't know what the Twins did to the Orioles last year when they lost 7. They were losing 7 in a row. Outscored them over 6 runs to about 2.4. Outpitched them, out-homered them, outplayed them.
Reversal of fortune. Schoop with a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Reimold off first base, up and in. Getting
a lot of movement, up and in. You think it's going to be on the inside corner, it just keeps running. Looks like Jonathan today not seeing the ball as well as he has maybe 3-4 games ago. Against the lefty Pat Dean, chasing balls away. That one ended up about 10 inches inside, but that had something to do with the movement.
So Tonkin gets the strikeout, his first. Ryan Flaherty, he has walked it into a double play and has struck out. Tonkin, 26 games last year, pitched only 23 innings. 21 hits off him. He did not have any record in those 5 times up. Flaherty in the air to left. Rosario. 2 down. So after the leadoff single, Reimold remains at first base. Caleb Joseph looking for his first hit of the ball game. He is 0 for 3.
Yeah, strike out the last time, and then so when you hit 190, you don't call them quality at bats, but he hit the ball hard the first 2 times up.
Caleb will take the breaking ball in there for a strike. Gausman on the right, and the hopeful winner, Wilson in the middle. Trumbo helped to make him so, standing next to him there with his 2 home runs. 0-1 pitch. That's on the outside corner. Another strike called on him. 0-2. Top of the 8th inning, 7-2 ball game. Rips that one down the line. That'll be a base hit into left field. Reimold is on his way to third. Rosario up with it. Bobby Dickerson waving him, then puts the stop sign on. It'll be a double for Joseph with 2 down.
Yeah, I thought he might get the first RBI of the year, but again, you're 7-2, rainy. Rosario can get to it down there in the happy zone. Boy, the power numbers for Caleb Joseph, down and in. He gets the bat head to the ball, drills it into the corner, and then it's just a matter of can Reimold outrace the relay throw, and Bobby Dickerson didn't think he could do that.
So 2 in scoring position. Rickard gets the opportunity. 1 for 4, base hit, run scored. Orioles 0 for 4 in these situations today, and 2 for 10 in the 2 games. Rickard can pretty much put it away. Come away with a base hit right here. And again, trying to do it with 2 down. Rickard will take that one. It is a strike.
Yeah, maybe a little more velocity than normal for Michael Tonkin.
Orioles have not trailed in the game. Closest the Twins got 2-1 after 2. Pitch to Rickard, and that will be up high. So 1 ball, 2 strike count from Tonkin. Orioles with 12 hits in the game.
Yeah, the way the game progressed through the first 2, the Orioles had a 2-run home run, and then Sanyo hit a home run. Sano, excuse me. I'm going to put a Y on his name.
They got a TV set.
Yeah, exactly. And then Trumbo hit another one. And then Wilson kind of slammed the door.
And a swing and a miss on a pitch away. So Tonkin gets the strikeout. The Orioles no runs, 2 hits, no errors. 2 are left on.
Wilson trying to win another game here in Minnesota. Boy, good curveball early on. Park strikes out on 1-2, and then fielding position. Didn't make this play against the Yankees as he threw one away. But today a little different story. Meanwhile, the Orioles are getting him 7 runs. Boy, it keeps him in the games. Not a dominating performance as far as strikeouts, but threw a lot of strikes. And then the Orioles play great defense behind him. And Michael Givens will come on to get some work. The Orioles still looking for 6 outs. Fastball, slider, occasional changeup. And as we go through the numbers, you'll see he's pitched well. A lot of strikeouts, 21 in 13 innings. And then the opponent averaged by left-handers. It'll be interesting to see how he fares. Dominates righties.
And he will get the left-hander. Not just any left-hander, but Joe Mauer. Mauer leading it off, a walk, a single, and he is flied out. Givens' delivery to him is there for a strike. Givens appeared in 2 games against the Twins in Baltimore. Gave up 3 runs on 5 hits in 2 innings in those games. This will be his 5th career appearance against the Twins. Mauer takes that one inside. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Nunez and then Dozier. Bottom half of the 8th inning. The Orioles just needing 6 big outs. Put up win number 20. Our league leaderboard presented by Coons.com. Over 2 million vehicles sold and counting.
Well, you're talking about how the Mariners, of course, the White Sox, minuscule till they had the implosion last night. 7-run 8th inning. Get that ERA up there.
Inside out base hit. That's where he's picking them up. Mauer going the other way again, so a couple of hits to left.
Yeah, it's funny when you talk to people here with the Twins, they say that a lot of teams will play him like a pull right-handed hitter. In other words, everybody will be over on the left side of the infield. Well, maybe you could make this play, but this is what Joe Mauer does nowadays. hits the ball to left field and hits it hard enough where it's, even if you put the defense over there, it might be hard to.
Kinsler warming up in the bullpen. Tonkin having worked an inning plus. If he comes up.
Yeah, he threw the ball well. 95 the last pitch.
That will bring Nunez up. Nunez an 0 for 3. Probably a last chance to continue his hit streak, which is right now at 9 games. He has flied out twice and hit into a double play. He's had just the 1 hit in 6 at bats in the 2-game set. 0-1 delivery to him. Nunez nubs that one off the end of the bat foul. And Gibbons gets ahead on the count 0-2. Wilson can win it. He'll be 2-1. Hughes, Minnesota starter, still the pitcher of record. 5 runs, 6 hits over 4. He would be 1-6. Punches that one the other way into the seats.
A couple more years on his contract when he came over and won those 16 games. Apparently he missed a $500,000 bonus by a third of an inning, and they asked him if he wanted to pitch in the bullpen. He said no, that would send a bad message, and then he got a 4-year extension.
Good message.
Yes, for him, yeah. I mean, he did the right thing. Said no. He said I don't, and then as it turned out, he gets an extension. And
lived happily ever after.
But they could not. You know, last year's second year wasn't as good as the first one. First year of the extension, but they couldn't have seen 1-5, or if he loses today, 1-6 coming.
No.
I mean, a veteran pitcher, as we mentioned, 9th year in the major leagues.
ERA is going to be up at 6 after today. Gibbons working with Mauer on at first base. Nunez, the 1-ball 2-strike count. In the air to right. Reimold. That should end the 9-game hit streak with the 0 for 4. 1 away here in the 8th inning. Talking about the short road trip, the Orioles coming out here for 3 games, getting only 2 in with a rain out in game 1. It's been the same thing for the Twins, a 3-game homestand. Well, you don't get that very often. They are going to go back out on the road to Cleveland for another road trip after the ball game. Dozier's had an 0 for 3.
So if you do lose, you'll be 8-25. You're 2-14 on the road. As you mentioned, Cleveland's playing well. Great pitching staff. Tough, tough, tough. I mean, the Dogs' days of August have already hit here in May. After winning 83 games last year in Paul Molitor's first year.
Inside corner strike called. That gets Dozier to look back. And the count will go to 0-2.
Yeah, I think the one number we showed you early, and Mauer let off the base hit, is it's hard to, I mean, it's almost very hard to comprehend how lefties are hitting over 500 against Michael Gibbons. He does have a changeup, which he doesn't see that many. But I don't look at him as a guy that should be a guy that you can only bring it against right-handers. That changeup maybe needs to come into play a little bit more. And against the righties, you don't really need to change anything.
And that pitch is going to be away. 2-ball, 2-strike count on Dozier. The runner on at first base. Mauer picking up the leadoff single, still over there. He did that in the first inning, and they did not move him around. Dropped down a little bit and gets a swinging strikeout.
Yeah, that's the equalizer right there. He could throw up to 95-6, and then just drops off the perfect breaking ball. Dozier a better fastball hitter, so the book is throw this pitch, and he does.
Just looking last year, the lefties hit 205 off Gibbons.
Yeah, this may be one of those aberrational numbers, early numbers that you see as you're into the about 45 days into the season.
Here is Plouffe to short and a base hit. Jones coming over to get it. Turn made. Mauer is going to go to third base. So a 2 away here in the 8th inning. Plouffe picks up the single to put runners at first and third.
Yeah, location of the ball is so important when you're, especially if you're a side armor, and if you know, the hitter maybe gives a little bit, and instead of getting it away, you get it inside. And we saw Plouffe last night. You know, he looked like he hurt himself over the weekend in Chicago, but he came back with the sacrifice fly at the game-tying 2-run home run. So it looks like maybe he's healthier.
Great news for this ball club. Keep him in there. So Sano's got power. 8 hits now for the Twins. He'll take it outside for a ball. He's had a home run that came in the second, his 4th of the year. A couple of fly ball outs. Givens. Try to get one more and get out of the inning. And the pitch is going to be there for a strike.
They haven't pitched since May 7th. That's why it's a good idea to get him some work. And if you're Buck Showalter, that's talked about, trying to get some guys in and have the lead.
Givens a couple of days away from his 26th birthday. Converted, of course, from shortstop to pitcher and made his debut against the Red Sox in Boston. The Orioles. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Sano waiting on it. First and third occupied. Pitch is going to be outside. 2 ball, 2 strike count. Two down. Mauer, Plouffe for their leads. Givens delivers, and it'll be foul back. Saw a number in Minnesota coming into this series that of the innings played so far this year, they had a lead something like an amazingly low 3 times in a ball game. They have been behind, not just in losing games, but behind throughout ball games. And it's true here today. He got that one left field and into the corner. Rickard goes to get it. So Sano is retired on the fly ball out. They leave a couple on. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 left on base. We go to the 9th inning. The Orioles looking to put this away. They're up 7-2. Orioles baseball on MASN, brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Gary Thorne and Jim Palmer here as the Orioles look to wrap one up. You know that's good for you. You can just, by looking at that, you can just tell. Your arteries are going, no, no, don't do it. On the left, Trumbo with a big 2-homer ball game and 3 RBIs. Rickard on the right with some fine defensive plays and a base hit and a run score.
So Brandon Kinsler comes on, and all he throws is fastballs. He actually does have a slider. Kind of an interesting guy, 31 years old, born in Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's see, independent leagues. He's been all over the place. Back in 2007 and 8, Milwaukee. He's had elbow problems, patellar tendon problems, but still pitching. Not overpowering, 91, a little bit of a breaking ball.
He has appeared in one game. He got called up in the 7th against the White Sox, inning and 2/3, no runs on 1 hit. And that appearance was the first time in the major league since 2015 in May against the Giants. I guess a member of the Brew Crew. Kinsler on to work. Manny Machado. Pitch taken inside. Manny's had an unusual 0 for 4. He hasn't had many of those. Looks like he's all right. Sliding. You saw that front foot just go out from under him.
Well, you come into this game with the amount of pitchers out there. There are all kinds of holes. You try to smooth them out.
That's one up the middle, and no 0 for Manny. He gets a single here in the 9th inning and does have a 5-game hit streak. Visit MassSports.com/CareFirst to vote for today's Care First Fearless Player of the Game. Live fearless with a name trusted for over 75 years. Care First, Blue Cross Blue Shield. So Machado's on, and the Orioles 13 hits, one shy of the 14 from last night. Trumbo's going to get maybe another chance here. We'll see. Adam Jones, 3-hit day. He's 3 for 4. 3 singles, a fly ball out, a run scored. Kinsler's delivery to him, and he mashes it to left. It is gone. Goodbye home run. What a hot bat he has found here in Minnesota. A 4-hit game. Adam Jones delivers the homer. 2 more on the board, and the Orioles lead it 9-2.
Well, 6 home runs on Sunday, 4 here. His 2 home runs, both on hanging curveballs, and wow.
Adam Jones, 3 homers, 14 RBIs. Has crossed the plate 3 times in this ball game, and the Orioles continue to mash. Davis, a big part of that. He'll take it outside.
Now take a look at this hanging curveball. Look at the target. Look at the hanger. And the only doubt is if it's going to stay fair, and it does.
Davis, nobody there. He's got one into left, thinking about 2. He'll make the turn. Rosario with a big arm could not come up with it to make a throw, and Davis has got a double. So Chris has got a 4-hit game with 2 doubles, a homer, and a single. Wow.
Oh, what we were talking about, Willie Keeler. He said I had clear eyes and I hit them where they ain't. That's exactly what Chris Davis did there. Now, of course, earlier in the game, he ended up on the flag court here in Minneapolis.
So Adam Jones has his first 4-hit game of the season. Chris Davis, his second 4-hit day of the year. Mark Trumbo has had 2 home runs, has never had a 3-homer game in his career. Numbers 10 and 11, 3 RBIs, 2 for 4, and that will go to short. No chance on the double play. Trumbo is retired. Soft liner to Nunez. The Orioles now have 4 games in which they have had 4 or more home runs. So with 1 away here in the 9th, 2 runs in. Nolan Reimold, a walk, a single, a struck out and grounded out, runner at second base. For Bob Jones, our Maryland lottery contestant, a big day, $500 for each Orioles home run hit. It's pretty good. 0-1 delivery to him will be taken. Nolan Reimold trying to get an RBI. Davis out there at second base. Brian Madison, the bullpen.
kind of what I predicted. If you get a couple more runs, you get Mattis up, try to get him an inning. You got Gibbons an inning.
2 ball, 1 strike count.
All they had to do is get 2 more on the board. Thank you, Adam.
He's trying to add up all of these numbers for the Orioles offensively. It's a lot of them. And a strike taken on the outside corner. So 9 runs on 15 hits in this ball game. 2 ball, 2 strike count on Reimold. Still only 1 out here in the top of the 9th inning. Kinsler, the delivery will be inside. 3 ball, 2 strike count from Kinsler. Davis meandering off second base, and that's where the ball is going to go. It'll be knocked down. Dozier holds it. It'll be an infield hit. For the moment, at least saves a run, as Davis has got to stop at third base, and Reimold's got a 2-hit game.
Yeah, you're down by 7, and then you make an excellent play like that. It will save a run. Little slider just poked up the middle. Dozier playing there, just can't get to it and make any kind of play.
The Orioles, despite 9 runs on 16 hits, have still not had a, prior to that, had a hit with a runner in scoring position. That's going to be their first one. They're now 1 for 7 in the ballgame. Jonathan Schoop, a base hit. He has struck out 3 times. And Schoop will take Kinsler's delivery at the knees for a strike.
Yeah, Brandon Kinsler, you know, we said he was born in Las Vegas. He once worked at Cold Stone Creamery, and he was a limo driver for the Wynn Hotel. Sold tickets up in Winnipeg. Had pitched in an independent league up there. So he's done a lot of things.
Has an appreciation
yeah,
for
well,
where
exactly.
he is.
Exactly.
Here's the 0-2 delivery on the way. Little roller to third base, Force at second, and over to first. I'll get the double play. So the Orioles will add a couple of runs. They do it on 4 hits. Nobody left on base. Jones, the homer, good for 2 more. 9. Ball game, and Tom and Rick will be along and take a look at Adam Jones' part in this game. In the middle of that lineup, Jones, Davis, Trumbo with big outputs offensively.
So Brian Mattis comes on. It's been a little bit of a struggle. Fastball, curveball, slider, and then the changeup. Again, just trying to get back where, you know, because of the injury, intercostal area, high ERA. Obviously, last year struck out more than innings pitched. And then again, righties hitting him at 455, higher than he would like. And at this point, more of a fly ball pitcher than a grounder.
So Brian Mattis works to put the ball game away for the Orioles. With that big lead. Bottom half of the 9th inning. Park, the 0 for 3, couple of strikeouts and a fly ball out. Orioles dominating the 2 games out of this. What was supposed to be a 3-game set. Left-hander's delivery will miss inside. Mattis goes 2-0. Park, Rosario, Centeno, Adu up. Near in the bottom of the 9th. Orioles will be heading home with a 4-game win streak. And for Minnesota, they will take to the road to Cleveland, having lost 7 in a row, barring a major comeback here. Orioles are going to go 5-0 against the Twins to start a season. First time they've done that since '97. And Brian Mattis will surrender the walk to Park, leading off the 9th inning.
I saw him today, and in the hallway I said, how'd it go when you threw last night? Just getting loose in the bullpen in case he had to come in. He said not well, so he's struggling. And when you struggle physically, and you were hurt early in spring training, so he really missed all of the spring. So he wants to get better, wants to help the club, but not in a good place physically or emotionally.
Rosario, a double, a run scored. He has flied out, grounded out. And we'll get that one in there for a strike. With a victory today, the Orioles for the first time this year will go 8 over 500. The offense, obviously, Trumbo with the 2 home runs, Davis next to him with the 4 RBIs. Really providing the punch, and early enough in this game to give Tyler Wilson some room to work. 2 runs, 6 hits over 7. Gibbons an inning, 2 hits. Wilson will be 2-1 and Hughes will be 1-6. Shift on in the infield, and the pitch is going to miss down low. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Back home, Detroit Tigers in town. See you at the ballpark tomorrow night or right here. 6:30 O's Extra, and 7 o'clock for the ball game on Masson. Waldo Jimenez and Mike Pelfrey opening up the 4 against the Tigers. Mattis will miss up high with that. Evens it up 2-2. Two and 2. That ball rocketed to center, and Adam ball. So Rosario is retired. Jones hauls it in. Rosario's hit the ball hard last 2 times up. Burkett made a great play on him in the 7th inning, and now Jones right where he needed to be on that.
Yep. Well, you're a little defenseless when you're on the mound, and you're throwing 88, and you can't command the ball, but the luck factor sometimes can help you. You're right, that ball hit right at him. Polanco's going to get a chance to hit here. You see not a lot of at bats.
Polanco, the pinch hitter for Centeno, had a couple of hits. The catcher had a 2 for 3 with 2 singles. And Polanco will take the pitch for a ball. Polanco also recalled on the 7th. That's when as you can tell, we said that a number of times today, that's when they shook this roster up for the Minnesota Twins. Number of players up and down on May 7th. Little Nubber's going to go to Davis. He'll take it to the bag. 2 down. Polanco retired. Park goes down to second base. Brian Mattis needs 1 more out. The Orioles will have victory number 20.
Yeah, you start the season 7-0, so they will have gotten back, in a sense, back over 500. They had won 7-0, and if they win today, they'll have won 13 of the last 25 games. Of course, the 7-0 start counts. It's a nice way to start the season. The Twins started out 0-9. That's not what you had in mind coming out of spring training.
Santana, Danny Santana will take it for a strike. Santana RBI single and is grounded out a couple of times. Santana's base hit, Sano's home run. The only 2 runs scored by the Twins. Runner at second base, Mattis's delivery will miss outside for a ball. Orioles will go 7-3-1 in series. And the third out is retired in this one. And this should be it. Jones. Adams got it. Ball game's over. And the Orioles come away with another impressive win. 9-2 over the Twins to pick up their 4th in a row, as the Orioles are now 20-12 on the year. And for Buck Showalter, a successful 2-game short road trip here in Minneapolis. Orioles now will head home for that 4-game set against the Tigers. Ubaldo Jimenez on the mound against Mike Pelfrey tomorrow night. Our coverage on MASN at 6:30 with O's Extra, presented by Southwest, with our game coverage at 7. This has been a MASN presentation from Minnesota. Take the home runs and bring them on to Camden Yards. On behalf of all of our crew, we'll see you there tomorrow night. I'm Gary Thorne. Adieu, adieu.